just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Bloke in a Bar. Another weekend of rugby league done and doosted. And what a weekend it was. Right? You know what I loved? The reffing. Anyway. Guru, how you been, Russ?
Good, mate. Yeah, the reffing was very interesting on the weekend, wasn't it?
It was very, very interesting. But be patient, reffing fans. We'll get there. Timmy, how you been, mate?
Good, mate. Wonderful weekend. Another gritty win by the Raids against Premiership Heavyweights. So we're on the charge of the top four and I'm in a good mood.
Mate, by popular demand, the public called for it. They got it. He's back. Hammy, the great man. How you going, brother?
I'm back, baby. Back for accountability. Brought to you by Foot Locker this week, apparently. No, there's only one place to go for your shoes. That is Shoegrab. So stick around for a discount code later in the show.
I'm scarred with Foot Locker, actually. My first long-term girlfriend worked there, and I don't know. I've just never been able to go back in.
Oh, dear. Yeah.
Also, before we get into it, actually, we'll get straight into accountability, shall we?
Yeah.
It hurts me wee little heart that we don't get try celebrations. I've actually been like waiting for it now, and then we don't get it, and I'm like, well, that just sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Rugby league ruined.
Yeah. It was flattening. It felt a bit empty. It became less about try celebrations, more about refs, which is not what you want. But here we are, first game. Chookies, 26 versus Manly, 16. Kempy, you had the Roosters. Guru, you went Manly. Timmy went the Chooks, and Matty, you went Roosters 13 plus. I'm going to give you half a point. Being a little bit too ambitious there. I do want to pay a special mention. This was the Hello Sport live stream game.
Yep.
Congratulations to Timmy and Guru. Outstanding stuff on the show. Want to make special mention of Guru here. Ducked and weaved a little bit early about a bit of Guru as a Roosters fan chat. And he counter-punched nicely by referring to Manly as the Northern Eagles, which the boys did not like. And you might be thinking, Hammy, what are you talking about this for? What's this got to do with accountability? When we get a tight finish like last week where we had a draw, I'm looking for a bit of razzle-dazzle around the content world.
Okay.
What can I cling on to? So you lost a point, but you won over the accountability ref.
What the hell? Yeah. This is you are literally reffing like an NRL ref. You are reffing, and I get a sneaking suspicion I'll never get a point.
You got a couple here this week.
Okay, yes, let's go.
You did fly pretty close to the sun on a few occasions.
We'll far out. Here we go. All right, game two.
Game two. Warriors 28, knocked over the Titans 18. Everyone went Warriors, much like the Warriors. Everyone slipped under the radar, got the job done.
Absolutely.
No fuss there. Next game, Panthers 26, Storm 6. Everybody went for the Panthers here. Flawless from the panel, much like Penrith.
I mean, easiest bet of the week, but all good.
Take it.
You did a little bit of fancy stuff then, and you did say a bit of value in the Storm, but I'm not going to take any points off. I think you were just playing it up after last week's
absolutely.
situation. This next game, Cowboys 14 went down to the Broncos 30. Denon and Guru, you both had the Broncos. Timmy and Matty both had the Cowboys. Denon, I did offer you 13 plus. You scoffed at me at the time. The margin was 16.
Oh, it was. Selwyn Cobbo changed it.
Yep.
And so I kind of feel like, look, Selwyn Cobbo's an enigma.
Yep.
And you can't bet on enigmas. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
But you could have the 13. So now you got egg and liver all over your face. So, that's for the Cowboys Broncos game. This was a great game, nail biter. Dolphins 28, Knights 30. Everyone went Knights. Again, a little bit of fancy stuff down. Just be careful there, mate. You did talk about the Dolphins a bit, but I'm not going to penalise.
It was a close game.
It was a close game. Now, this one was a meltdown for the panel here. Everyone went with the Rabbitohs. And I just want to give Guru a warning here. A little bit of a facetious, I guess I'm going to go with the Rabbitohs.
Oh, not firm.
And the Rabbitohs ended up getting hammered by the Sharkies.
Did I have something about going Sharks with the line, or am I making that up?
I looked at the tape, I took it to the bunker, and I think you might have made that up. So,
I make up half my content.
Sorry, Timmy. Next game, Eels 26, Dragons 20. Everyone here went the Eels. This was a poo slinger of the round, so everyone got the job done in that one. And then we finished with one of the great stitch-ups. I know we're probably going to be talking a bit about the refereeing. This could be a good place to start. The Raiders 22 defeat the Tigers 18, apparently. If you want to count that, Timmy, up to you. We had Guru and Matty went the Raiders. Timmy, specific, you went Raiders 1 to 12. So I'm going to give you an extra half point there.
Thanks, mate.
Denon, I tried to tempt you into 13 plus for the Tigers. You just took the Tigers in the end. So
Raiders 1 to 12 is like tipping the Sun to come up tomorrow.
Hey, you got to put it out there, mate. We were hot favourites.
that game, it was a real weekend. I went down there, visit the family, and I had it all planned out. I was going to get down to Mooseheads, have a couple of moose juices behind the bar there, nip down to Erindales, have a little Goodbury's concrete to celebrate a win, but cancelled all that. Ended up just crying in the shower at the folks' place. So nail biter, but unfortunately no chockies for the Tigers.
Do I get any like half point for going big? There, like Tigers is a big call and it nearly came
Was a
off.
big call. I'd love to give it to you, but I think if I did that, we're going to have another draw this week, which we're trying to avoid on accountability.
Oh my
Tempe.
God.
So this week the results are in. We've got Denon and Guru both on 6 points. Matty, you were on 5.5. And Timmy, 6.5 points.
You
for you, so
beauty.
congratulations.
Oh my
boys.
God.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Another dub.
But I did want to. Accountability is not
So it's
just.
technically a draw.
No, he got the win because he was nice and specific there. But accountability is not just about your tips for the week.
Yep, okay.
I actually want to put a panelist on report this week.
Oh my
Now,
God.
a little birdie tells me that somebody sitting on this panel, they can own up to it if they want, was actually at the AFL on Saturday night instead of watching rugby league. They went to the Battle of the Bridge.
Holy.
Now, you don't have to solve this right now on the show. You've got the next couple of hours to work it out. But unless anyone wants to own up to it, Timmy, I'm going to put you on report for heading to the Battle of the Bridge.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
My partner got given tickets to the AFL on Saturday night, the Giants and the Swannies. I'd been to one game in my life, and so I got taken along for it. I was sitting there, and I did have the Sharkies and Rabbitohs up on my phone while the AFL was on. And to get myself some accountability points back, ran into one of your boys, Chris Lawrence, at the AFL.
Ooh.
And sat with him and drunk beers with him all night. So that's got to level the ledger a little bit.
What do you
Can I
reckon,
take
boys?
some more
I don't
points
think so.
off him?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was having beers with him about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we got to that point where if you have another beer, you're settling in.
Yep.
And he said to me, I probably shouldn't. And why couldn't you? What were you doing the next morning? What sport were you playing the next morning?
Oh, I had a game of Aussie rules.
Oh my God.
seconds.
What the hell?
doing?
He's a covert spy from the bloody other. Oh my God. This is unbelievable.
worse. Yeah.
You have really caused some fuss between the panel.
That's what I mean. I'm just here to keep people accountable. That's my job.
Oh my God. Who would have thought our hearts would break on a cold August
Well,
day?
Yeah.
It's got to be a 6-point penalty.
How it played out was my partner's having her first ever season of footy. Wanted to have change things up, pretty sporty, had a bit of a run around. I was, good on you, go for it. And I was going down to watch, and funnily enough, the Bloke side were playing at the exact same time. And they were short, and I said, well, if I'm going to go down, I may as well play. So I had a game.
But what about because you pre-knew that you were going to play the next day because you stopped drinking beers?
Yeah, that was a porcupine.
Was that your second game?
Hey?
Was that your...
I played one game of Aussie rules when I was 18. I filled in for my mate's side in Canberra one day, and he goes, I go, all right, mate, I was coming up from Cooma on my gap year. As some people go to Europe for their gap year, I went to Cooma.
I hear it's beautiful this time of year.
Yeah, exactly right. And he goes, I drove to Canberra, I go, mate, where's the game? And he goes, Marnica Oval. I'm like, Marnica? Well, this is bottom div Aussie rules in Canberra. I'm like, right, that's mad. Anyway, we were short. We got dusted 333 to 8. But guess who banged the goal over? So I've got a goal on Marnica Oval.
Dear, oh dear. Oh, Carmichael Hunt. Timmy wins.
Yeah.
Code hopper. So you've won the tipping, but you've lost a hell of a lot more by the sounds of it.
Lost a lot of hearts, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
A lot of hearts.
Yeah.
I've played 3 different codes this season, so
So you're a genetically gifted athlete that can just play anything.
very Wendell Sailor-like, yes.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's accountability.
Mate, that is accountability. Look, I personally think that those numbers are a bit fudged, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. They're right here, mate. I'll flick you the spreadsheet.
Oh, that's accountability for you. Brought to you by Sportsbet. Absolute legends over there. Make sure, have a punt with Sportsbet. Best in the business. Also absolute legends. But also, remember to gamble responsibly. You win some, but you lose more. Alrighty, time now for Team of the Week. At number 1, Kalen Ponga. At 2, Ravalawa. 3, Jesse Ramian. 4, Billy Smith. How good was it to see him have such a good game? 5, Jaman Asako. 6, Ezra Mam. 7, Sean Johnson. 8, Haas. 9, Egan, 10, Adam Blake, 11, Paddy Carrigan. Look, we snuck him in there. He didn't start there, but the rotation for the Broncos is basically to keep him on for as many minutes as possible, is to move him out to an edge. At 12, Ford. Geez, you'd be stinging if you were the Dragons right now. Isaiah Yeo at 13. Wowee, he puts up good numbers. At 14, Junior Paulo. At 15, Curdy Capewell. 16, Hudson Young. 17, Jack Williams. Any standouts for you on that during that team, boys?
Mate, what about the Kuma Stallion in 17?
The Kuma
Jack
Stallion
Williams.
sneaks into team of the week.
Mate.
Could be a first for the town. I don't think they had team of the week when Brett White was dominating the NRL.
Anyone else stand out to you, boys?
Mate, I feel like we say it every single week, but Payne Haas, the shit he is doing week in, week out, it's wild.
It is absolutely wild. That is Payne Haas is Menulog's Hungriest Player of the Week. Use code PAYNE, so not Haas, but PAYNE, P-A-Y-N-E, to get free delivery on orders over $15. So P-A-Y-N-E. There was a little bit of stuff up. It was supposed to be Haas, but it's Payne, P-A-Y-N-E, to get, free delivery when you order over $15. Payne Haas, Hungriest Player. What else is there to say about this guy? What else is there to say about this? He's got so much stuff that's happened off the field for him that's, out of his control. But there's never a single day where you see him rock up and he's not switched on. He's not having a dig. Not even having a dig. There's not a single day. He could have the worst things ever going off field, and he could come in and absolutely dominate the game like it's nothing. Like it is nothing. He is truly something special. And I think it's one of the most unique situations where we found a freak with the mental toughness of some of the best we've ever seen. That's how good this guy is. We're talking about a 23-year-old that has been doing this. Like, tell me a bad game Payne Haas has had.
And that's the scariest thing for me when you remember how old he is. Like,
wow.
It's insane.
Like, a lot of front rows aren't even debut until bloody 23.
It's hard to add anything new on him each week, Kempy, for that reason, because name a bad game he's had. I don't think he's ever had one, and I'm so confident with the way he plays and the tick he shows and the mental resilience that he will never probably play a bad game of NRL. And because he never plays a bad game, you can't even get to, Payne did this or that. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, or he dropped a few balls, he wasn't concentrating. Yeah. He is truly, we just never seen anything like it.
I think his biggest test will be just the longevity, how he goes over a long period of time. Because, let's take Tamalolo for an example. Like a few years ago, he probably wasn't hitting Payne Haas numbers, but he was doing things we hadn't really seen before. But when you put your body through that much and playing that many minutes consistently, Payne Haas is going to play Origin as well, which is going to add to that. He's going to have to play a lot of footy, and at the rate that he plays it, it's going to be interesting to see how he holds up over the next 10 years, essentially.
Yeah. I think that, surely you'd see moments where he would have a few injuries here or there, but he doesn't even look banged up at the end of games.
Nah.
And so it's almost like the contact doesn't hurt him as much because he's so big and explosive. Maybe I don't.
He'll go and play 65, 70 minutes if required, and said he doesn't look like he's gassed at the end of the game at all.
Never. Not strapped up within an inch of his life. He's not hobbling at the start of games because he's so stiff or anything like that. It is just
Tohu Harris vibes, so you feel like a limb could come off at any minute.
Mate, literally, he is strapped within an inch of his life.
But I think the other thing that separates him is those moments where a team runaways and scores, and he's always the closest defender, or he's batting a kick over the dead ball line. And it might only happen every few weeks, but for front rowers, that should happen once or twice a career.
I know. Yeah. I know. It's crazy. And
he even had a moment in Origin. I don't think it ended up counting for anything. I think Hamiso got a bounce.
Yep.
And Payne Haas put himself in that position.
The only bloke covering this kick over the top.
And if that ball doesn't bounce exactly to Hamiso in typical fucking Queensland fashion, all of a sudden it's a huge Origin play just because he put himself there, and he does that all the time.
Yeah. And he's almost the first front rower that, he's not the first front rower, relax everyone, but this weird situation where you actually have to say, no, we don't want you to play 80 minutes. Whereas a lot of front rowers, it's like their ass is hanging out by, if they're on 60 minutes, it's a tough gig. With him, it's almost like if he wants to play 80 and you're saying to him, no, you can't play 80 because it's too much.
He might not be the first, but he's the hardest one to say to him, no, don't play 80.
Yeah. So I'm not saying he's the first guy, it's relax, but I'm just saying that this is a unique situation. Like, for example, when Seabold was a coach, he was playing 70, 80 minutes sometimes. And actually, Kevy Walters come in and has basically gone, we're only doing that when we need it. there's no way that you should be playing 80 minutes a game, which is super, super smart. It gives people more time, and you saw how fleshed out the Broncos forward pack is.
Mate, and that's it. You talk about longevity, Kempy. If you can save him 10 minutes a game for 15, 20 games of the season, that will add up across the rest of his career so substantially.
Oh, massively.
And when you have a look, like, just for stats this year, post-contact meters, he's leading the NRL with 1,294. Now, Adam Blake, he's only got 6 less post-contact meters, so it's pretty close. Payne Haas played 2 less games, and he's had to deal with an Origin series in the midst of that.
Mental, man. It is. It's so, like, as a Broncos fan, obviously I hope he re-signs with the club and everything's good, but talk about a guy that literally could take... It'll be the first time we've really seen like a Glenn Lazarus-ish situation. You take a team, maybe even crazier. Now, I know Lazarus, a little bit different situation because, you know, he didn't go to a team that had won the spoon, but Payne Haas genuinely could be a front rower that takes a wooden spoon team to a premiership. Like, that is crazy stuff. As I said, Glenn Lazarus did it like, 3 different clubs. So I think
3 essentially new franchises.
Yeah,
too,
so like it's not the same situation. So I don't think Payne could. Well, maybe he could do that. Maybe he could do that, but I don't think the chances of another front rower doing what Glenn Lazarus did are pretty much nearly impossible.
Yeah, slim to none.
But the second best thing to that would be what Payne Haas has done in regards to wooden spoon all the way to a premiership, if they do win a premiership.
Especially now, the way the game's played now, you constantly feel like it's going to be your ball players, your fullbacks are going to have these huge impacts on games and make the difference in games. For him to do it as a front row forward, it's mind-boggling.
It's unbelievable. And also, like, I know Broncos got really, not lucky because it was Wayne that was really smart and shrewd and signed him on this like 6-year deal before he'd played first grade. But you have to remember, like, Payne has been there for what? 8 years now, or let's just say 8 randomly, and at no point has he been on this like outrageous wicket. And I know that there were times where management was agitating for this and that or whatever. So yeah, anyway, Payne, he is the hungriest player. PAYN. Use that code to get free delivery when you spend $15 or more. We've got to talk about it, guys. I don't want to talk about it, but it is just getting completely. I don't know, just not good enough in my opinion, unfortunately. You know, just like when we say players need time in reserve grade, I don't think that our reffing at the moment is up to first grade standard. Whether that's because they don't have the resources required, whether it's just unlucky, whether the game is becoming way harder to ref because of all the rule changing and everything. I don't know what the reason is, but not every ref. But over the weekend, unfortunately, I personally believe there were too many calls that just weren't up to the standard that, you know, they've set in the past. So some of the big moments in regards to reffing sin bin suspension. Nathan Brown sent off for a hit on Ben Trbojevic, grade 2 careless tackle, 1 week with an early plea. Chris Randall on report for hit on Watani Zalesniak, no charge. Fodawaker sent off for a hit on Chance, grade 2 careless high tackle, 1 week with early plea. Niokorde, sin bin for a slap on David Fafita, even though Fafita initiated the push to Niokorde's face. Luai on report, no sin bin for his hit. Grade 1 careless high tackle, got away with a fine. On top of that, it was only the Dragons, I think, the week before that they actually called playback 2 sets to give the penalty against DeBellin, and yet, you know, Luai situation, no penalty, just put on report. So just a consistency. Obviously, this has nothing to do with the players, guys. It's the refs that make these decisions. Tom Burgess, sin bin for a hit on Tom Hazelton. Grade 2 careless high tackle. 3 weeks suspension with early plea. Has carryovers, but hasn't even been charged this season. So it's from 2022 season. So he could miss 3 weeks, which could cost Rabbitohs a finals position, and he actually hasn't even been charged this season. Make it make sense, boys. Make it make sense.
Oh, you've come to the wrong place, Kemp. Yeah. Oh, in all honesty, like, just...
Is it up to standard? Is this... Like...
No, I don't think... Mate, I'm the first one to always defend referees and whatnot, and I think for a lot of fans out there at times, they will, you know, ignore their team's performances and try and blame refs and whatnot, which I'm against, but some of these decisions, like sending a player off the field is such a big thing. It is... And, like, mate, credit to the Gold Coast Titans, that... They're my most impressive team on the weekend, how they just managed to hang in that game. I thought that was incredible, but to send Mo off there was...
It looked like the same tackle as the Randall one. Like, I don't understand. Like, and then you got to talk about the Dolphins, Knights, games on the line. There's a scrum, and the ball gets spun straight out to Cody Nikorima. So we're talking 20 metres away from the scrum. A front rower holds another front rower in, and he calls a penalty for it against the attacking side when it had no bearing on the play. Look, if the ball had been around the holding of the player, then everyone would say, yeah, of course. But we talk about feel for the game. And so, like, I got to ask, are we guilty? Is this the reason why reffing is struggling at the moment? Because we as fans have put too much pressure and no one wants to be a ref? Is that the problem?
And I think that is part of the problem. I think it's going to be a problem we're going to see in the future. But I understand why people are frustrated. You know what annoys me the most? We get to Origin and we do it great.
It's bizarre.
Like what?
I don't understand why it changes.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the ref puts the whistle away to a degree, and it's the best footy you've ever seen. Timmy, what do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, just touching on what sort of Guru made the point of with the send-off of Mo Fotuaika. I don't know, I might be harsh, but I just feel like the referees don't understand how detrimental it is to results in games. And they just throw sin bins out willy-nilly, and the send-offs not as often, of course, but like that Titans and Warriors game was one of the most games I was that keen on heading the entire round. Two sides, in form, plenty of points in them. Was it 16 or 18 minutes in? He gets sent off for that. And I'm just like, well, there's a game ruined. Thankfully, as it turned out, the Titans actually showed a bunch of ticker and made it into a decent sort of finish. But I just thought the way the Warriors were playing, they'll put 30 or 40 on them because of the early send-off. And there's been countless examples this season where a bloke's gone for 10 in the bin for something so ridiculous, and there'll be 3 tries in that 10 minutes. Now, I know we talk about sides showing a bit of resilience when they're down a man and all that, but also a lot easier said than done. You're defending with a man less, and the game's decided in that 10-minute period. Like, it also does my head in when players get 3 or 4 match suspensions for little things, not little things, but things you think are a bit severe. But at least it's decided off the field and doesn't have a massive impact on the game. Like, either don't bin them, or if it's a send-off offence that they see, let's say Mo Fotuaika, don't send him off into a game. In that case, just sin bin him, keep the game alive. I hate when games get ruined because of it.
I was thinking on the weekend, like, and you've brought it up a lot, that, you know, sometimes a sin bin can be too harsh. Maybe like a 5-minute thing would be really good. I was even thinking the other day, like that Mo Fotuaika situation. Is there a situation where we need something more than 10 in the bin, but less than a send-off?
Look, what I don't get is, like, you're telling me Randall's was so much less worse than Fotuaika's that it was just a report and a penalty that wasn't even given until the captain's challenge. You're telling me that Fotuaika's was not 10 in the bin worse, send-off worse than the Randall hit. Then you've got to go to the Knights with the hip drop on the hip drop in air quotation marks, and they got 10 in the bin. Dolphins ran over 3 tries in 10 minutes. Like, I just don't see how, when it happens that quick, all in one motion, I just don't see how that's 10 in the bin.
I know we've spoken about it before, but I think it's, again, timely one to bring up just from what we saw on the weekend. But can you both give me a negative in the case of, all right, 10 in the bin for something so minor? Like, you look at that little tickle on the face that Niokora gave Dave Fafita, that, you know, had the potential, in this context, no, because there was already the send-off, but to dictate the result of the game. If they just had, once a try is scored within that 10 minutes, he comes back on the field. Damage is done. They've been punished for a minor incident, but the game doesn't get out of hand with 3 quick tries sort of thing. Like, is there a negative in that or not?
Well, the problem is I don't think they'll apply it properly. People would just be going. If they have a 5-minute in the bin, like I was 4-5 in the bin, but the way I've seen this handled, and now I'm seeing send-offs, I'm like, if there's 5 in the bin, people will be going bloody every set.
Yeah,
nearly.
but even that's I like the 5 in the bin, but even just if they're going to stick with 10 in the bin, just if a try is scored, the player comes back on. So even if they don't score a try in that time, they're still off for the 10 minutes. They're gassed. They have to work overtime, but they're still within the game.
The worry I have is just like the game has done so well for so long, like more rules, more changes.
Pretty minor change. It's a major change, but a minor change. Like, there's not much in it.
Okay, yeah, I just... You do trust the current people to apply it properly.
All they're applying is if there's a try scored, the player comes back on the field, though.
But like that still wouldn't negate things that aren't 10 in the bin at all. Like, for example...
But it'd improve the current system.
I think it would just muddy it. I used to be on that, but now I'm looking at the way things are being applied. if we add more stuff in, like look at all the rule changes we made with 6 again. We're basically back at what we used to be. Like it's a little bit faster. Yeah, the wrestle's gone a little bit, but we're basically back to a degree what we were in 2019. Like it is a tiny bit faster, but we went all this way and we just come all the way back in. And I just think that if you go a 10 in the bin or a try scored, then it's like that will give them even more incentive to send people 10 in the bin. And also, let's say they do defend for that 10 minutes and no one scores a try. It's the fatigue that gets built up in that 10 minutes. The tries could be at the end of the game. And I think there actually is a stat where they found that a lot of tries weren't scored when the 10 minutes happened. They were actually scored in like the second half or something like that.
It's the time after the sin bin that hurts you.
Because you're just so gassed.
Yeah.
Look, as I said, we're probably, we aren't ref bashers on this panel or anything like that, but we are fans of rugby league and, maybe we're a part of the problem in regards to no refs want to become refs because they get absolutely smashed each week. But I think the NRL has to take some accountability for this, and I think that they need to put more resources in to giving the refs better training, more resources into getting rules and I guess refs that can understand what the NRL wants to do, because at the moment it's just hurting the game, to be honest. It really is hurting the game.
And on top of that, like the bunker is just not helping them
at
all.
God.
If anything, I think they're making it worse at times.
I actually think the bunker's probably been worse than the refs.
I think they have, and I think they get bundled in as one, and it's the refs that wear it.
Whenever I say the refs, I actually mean both.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. It's just, we spoke about it last week, but even that, like, we got to listen to the bunker commentate their decision. Ball down, ball over the line, no try. It's just like, how do you defend that? How do you like?
And I think the NRL has tried to run through defending that to a degree, but it's like, even if there is an explanation, the communication to the consumers of the game, your fans, when the bunker is going through that try, like the communication to the fans is that should be a try. So it's not our fault that everyone's up in arms going, what the hell?
Yeah, I don't know what the answers are, Kempy. I've got no idea. But we're getting very close to the games that really matter, and something's going to be decided off one of these calls.
Well, you look at the Titans. They were in the hunt. You could argue that I'm not saying that they were absolutely robbed, but decisions that were pretty rough cost them 4 points. And they would have actually been in the 8 if they had have had those 2 wins. Now, they may not have gone on and won it, but they may have been the fair shot at it to win the game may have been taken. Anyway, I don't want to sit on it too long, but I just thought over the weekend it was just a really poor showing, unfortunately. And I just don't know. I'm happy for rules to be rules, even if I disagree with them, if we get consistency, but we don't get that.
That's as I just said, we're coming down to that point in the season where we're going to get to finals and it's going to be faster, tougher, and we expect it to be the most brutal footy of the year. There's going to be sin-bins and send-offs every week come finals time.
Well, what I don't get is let's take the Tom Burgess situation. So it got graded exactly the same as Nathan Brown, grade 2. Grade 2 careless, and Nathan Brown grade 2 careless. Are you telling me that they're the same tackle? One was like swinging arm, clear direct contact with the head, and the other one was chest to chest. Maybe they've got other angles, and maybe I'm missing it. Happy to be proven wrong, but I still am struggling to see direct contact with the head. Now, maybe the head came forward slightly and it grazed his shoulder, but I've watched it a lot of times, and I'm more than happy to be proven wrong. I still don't see initial direct contact to the head. So I don't know how you get 3 weeks for that.
Yeah, it's mad.
Anyway, let's get into it. Before we do, though, let's get to Kicks of the Week. Kicks of the Week this week brought to you by the legends over at Shoegrab. Head to shoegrab.com.au. You type in Bloke in a Bar. The coupon will come up. You just click on it. There's a bunch of different shoes that have the discount. But Kicks of the Week this week is Josh Schuster. Use code Schuster, SCHUSTER, USTER, so SCHUSTER, to get $30 off Asics and Nike performance sneakers, plus thrown in some exclusive sneakers. The link will be in the show notes where you see the code. Also, Google Shoegrab Bloke in a Bar, and it'll be active there. Those 2 kicks that Schuster did were absolutely pinpoint phenomenal.
When he does those chips, I've said it before, it's like he's kicking a helium football sometimes.
I know, it's bizarre.
The ball just moves slower through the air. than almost anyone I've ever seen do it. It's unbelievable. There was another kick on the weekend. Schuster was saying, you see the one that Nathan Cleary kicked?
Oh, mate.
At the end of the game was over, and he
Oh,
got the
it's a
ball on
joke.
the inside, and he kicked it back into the corner. And he just knew from the moment he hit it that it was going to sit up.
He like
Unbelievable.
stopped, took a step back, just summed it up, deft over the top. That was cheat mode.
Yeah.
And the thing, we'll get into it, but the problem, not the problem, well, it is a problem for the rest of the NRL, is kickers are completely protected now. You literally can't touch them, which is outrageous, but we'll get into it. Back to Schuster. I still think like other parts of his game, definitely, he could bring to the fore. But I tell you what, that magic, that intangible that we all love about Schuster, that can like get you back into games, geez, it was on show on the weekend. Like, that's why some people look at players that, can drift a little bit in and out of games and they go, I just don't understand why they get so much grace. But at the same time, if Schuster's not on that field, Manly get pumped.
Yep.
So it's like, I understand he's very young and he's got a lot to improve in his game. But at the same time, what are you doing at 6 without him? He single-handedly got them back into that game through pure brilliance that you can't teach. So I do think that he's definitely improving, as in, a few weeks ago I thought he was struggling a little bit in regards to injecting himself. Still a bit to go, but when you see moments like that, you go, geez, there's an incredible football player.
And I mean, what Schuster's doing, being inconsistent, being up and down, it's what halves do. But because we see shit like this, we expect that from Schuster every single weekend.
Yeah. And he's young. He's what, 22?
He's a young ball player.
Yeah, he's very young, 22.
They also played in the back row for a season, so he's lost a year of development there as well.
And look, it's not his fault that he's on a big wicket, a relatively big wicket. You can't get angry at the kid for that.
Yeah.
So, I thought those kicks were absolutely amazing. So use code Schuster, $30 off. Asics and Night Performance sneakers, plus throwing in some exclusive sneakers. I actually went and looked. They're actually outstanding. Thanks to absolute legends to Shoegrab for partnering with us, guys. They do casual wear, lifestyle wear. They got clothes, everything. They're the #1 sneaker marketplace in the country, bar none. So if you want lifestyle or casual wear, they got all the clothes, plus they got all the shoes you could ever dream of. And every time you go there to purchase, it's supporting Bloke platform. So support people that support us. Let's get straight into it, shall we? Roosters defeat Manly 26-16. I already personally spoke about this a bit on Packer Up Boys on Friday. Look, good win from the Roosters. Definitely looked better. Attack looked a little bit better. Still nowhere near where I probably thought they would be. Still some concerns in the clunkiness, but at the end of the day, it's 26-16 against a side that was fighting for the 8. So you take your wins where you can, and there were some really good performances by some key players in the Roosters side.
Yeah, I think Billy Smith's probably my headline there. It's interesting, people that I think understand rugby league and have a good grasp of it can all see it in Billy Smith, but a lot of people out there can't. I get these questions all the time, like this kid you talk about never does anything. You don't like. There's something about Billy Smith though, just the way that he moves and his balance. And you finally sort of got to see it a little bit the other night. It'll be interesting to see next year what happens with Billy Smith, whether he's a centre or a winger. They've got a couple of young guys there who I think will come through next year that are probably more so centres. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Billy Smith maybe end up on the right wing or something next year or the year after, whenever Suoliti goes. And I still think he's going to really make a home for himself at the Roosters.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth sticking with him. Because on the weekend, and he's had other moments too. I think when he first came back, he had a really good couple of games, and then he struggled a little bit. But on the weekend, he showed absolutely what he can do. Absolutely. Yeah. What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah, well, the most games he'd played in the season, I believe, at least the last 4 or 5 years, been around for a while now. It was, I think, 7. He's played. He's now strung 10 games together. Now you got to cut the bloke a bit of slack. He's had really mixed form since coming back into the side this year from yet another injury. He's had a couple of down moments, but even in some games where the Roosters have been comprehensively beaten, he's been a shining light for them. 10 games on the trot. He's getting back to full fitness. He's getting back to... he's still learning the craft. So, I said he's a little bit older than, say, a rookie, but with the amount of games he's played, well, he's not far off it. So 10 games on the trot, he looks so deceptively strong. Like, you look at that try he scored on the weekend, which was an absolute barnstormer, and he shrugged off Tolutau Kola, who... is one of the better defensive centres in contact in the NRL. Made him look like nothing went straight through him. So he was definitely the shining light in this game, and just love seeing get through the end of this season, get in a full preseason in 2024, and such a big future.
Just to give you a rundown on his numbers, as Timmy said, he's played 10 games this year. Between 2019 and 2022, he played 12 games.
Wow.
There you go. Like, complete rookie territory. Because he's been around for ages, it feels like he's not, but on numbers, he is.
No, wild. He debuted in 2019.
I know.
He didn't play at all in 2020. Yeah, crazy.
And what I really like about the Roosters' backline to a degree is how balanced out their numbers are. Tedesco, 169 metres. Tupou, 157. Smith, 127. Manu, 155. And Suoli'i, 194. I love seeing that because, you know, obviously for many years we've seen Teddy put up these crazy, crazy numbers, 250, 220. And I just think at the moment, Teddy's a little bit older. And, he doesn't have that same, at the moment anyway, it might be injury, it might be fatigue, but at the moment, he just doesn't seem to have that same fitness to be able to carry those numbers week in, week out. And so why not spread it across the back line? You've got such a good back line, and they did that on the weekend, and we saw some wins from it.
We spoke about it last week. Trent Robinson, like some of his...
Oh, I don't get the Sanders, like...
Yo, what's happening there?
So, so Brandon Smith plays 75 minutes last week, Turpin gets brushed, then Cheese plays less minutes this week and essentially halves it with the Sanders Smith.
Yeah, and he said like a week ago that Sam Walker's going to be back in 2 weeks. Like I don't understand what Robbo's doing here. I can't make sense of it.
I haven't understood what he's been doing all year, to be fair, selection-wise.
It's bizarre.
And is Sanders Smith the guy going forward long term? Like, is he a 9 now?
Drew Hutchinson's been in the side the entire time. He's been in the squad the entire time. You made finals with him at 5'8" a couple of years ago.
They look much better with him at 5'8".
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But we already knew that.
Yeah.
We knew that from 2 years ago. And then to have Smith there for so long and then to move him to hooker and...
Weird.
I don't know whose lunch Jake Turpin's eaten, but how is he not getting in the side?
Well, what's strange is it looked like Jake Turpin became the guy. Like a month ago, he was like, we're actually going to move Cheese to the bench to a degree. And Turpin's going to be our main man going forward in regards to opening the game up, the first 20 minutes.
And, I've been saying for weeks, I think the Roosters need to play, saying for months now, Brandon Smith needs to play 13 to try and win the middle. They won it in this game, but Manly lost Matt Lodge after 8 minutes. They're already without Paseka. They're already without Alaye. They pretty much had no middles out there. Yeah.
They are so low on middle sand this season, the poor buggers.
Yeah, it's brutal to watch.
Another good Daniel Tupou, 2 tries. How good is he? Just seeing him just continue to rack up the meaties, get through his work. I thought Suoli'i was outstanding. Really good. Best game all year. And I think that although, of course, a lot of the blame has to lie at his own feet for being a bit quieter this year, I personally think they stuck with him at centre way too long.
Yep.
Way too long. I think he's so good. Actually, didn't we discuss this last year? And I think... No, I sound like a dick saying this. Did you want him at centre?
Yeah, I wanted him at centre. I wanted him to be a strike left centre, but it was also very evident once he was there, it wasn't working.
Yeah, because he's good in the wing. He gets to come in.
It took 6 weeks too long for Robbo to change.
Yeah,
it.
He was outstanding on the wing and didn't look comfortable at centre at all.
Yeah, and he didn't know when to come in and take his runs. And whereas on the wing, very simple game. Just fucking truck it back hard, come in for a few scoots every now and then.
Big, tall, powerful. I think all of the elements of his game are the modern day winger. He's perfect there. Maybe centre back in the day, but now I think he's a perfect model for a prototype for a winger.
I'd make an argument now. Overall, mostly wingers are more valuable than centres at the moment.
In the current game, yeah,
game. For sure. I just think that they're more valuable. So it's why not put your best talented guy there rather than put him in centre where he's got to if you've got your specialist centres like Joey Manu who have played there the whole career, so they've just really learnt when to come in, when not to come in, then you can get a guy like Joey Manu who is incredible. But unless he's been there all their career, they don't really get the balance of when to come in and when not to come in.
If I was coaching a first grade side now and I was building my squad, all I would want at centre, I wouldn't spend overs on it. I would just pick someone that is good defensively.
Yeah, just a good defender and it can catch and pass.
Yep, that's all you need.
I agree, mate.
That's we go back to, I bring up this name all the time. I can't believe how much I talk about Tom Opperchek.
But it's true.
But it's spot on. Isaiah Tass for South Sydney. All these little guys that you don't have to pay 700-800K, but they'll do a job every week.
Yeah.
Joey Manu, cheat mode try. Oh, my God. That was...
Poor Brad Parker.
Yeah.
Bloody hell. He had a red-hot crack in both situations. Just couldn't...
That was terrifying.
People underestimate how big Joey Manu is. He's a fucking big boy. It's because he's so good footwork, but he's a big, big boy. Like, he is like, what, 6'2", probably 98 kilos, mad footwork.
Imagine seeing him go to dummy half with a half-quick play of the ball and he comes in, he leans down with that one-handed scoop, just being the marker or the A defender opposite, just going, oh, shit.
Uh-oh.
192 centimetres, 98 kilos. Joey? Wow.
Did you say 198?
Yeah.
That's huge.
192 sorry,
and 98 kilos.
Yeah.
So fuck. So that's nearly 6'3".
Big boy.
Oh, fuck. Oh, my God. Quick shout out to, and you can speak a bit more about him, Wong. I thought he was great.
Yeah, he was good, mate. He's very good. I think in his first few games of first grade, I think teams went after him a little bit and he sort of got bashed a little bit in his first few games, but I'm still very, very confident this kid's going to be a proper star.
55 tackles. Love to see that. From a guy that has all the natural ability, but you see the dog in him. And so, it's a good sign going forward that he's not just there to break tackles and offload. He'll get through the hard work if he has to.
And I still think he'll be a better 13 than what he is edge as well. I think he'll end up in the 13 eventually, whether it's here or not or how it works out. But he'll handle himself on the edge. But, yeah, he's got a big future. There's no doubt about it.
Drew Mitchell, I reckon Drew Mitchell will just settle them down so much.
Wallabies convert.
Mate, one of the greats. No, sorry, my bad. Drew Hutchinson.
I copped stick for my AFL turncoat earlier. What about you being a low-key rugby union fanatic?
Union's not even a fucking...
I heard you cried when the Wallabies got done by the All Blacks.
I honestly didn't even watch it. I literally didn't even watch it. Drew Hutchinson, I thought he straightened up their attack a lot. Like, a lot. It's really first time in a long time, just going off vibe, where I was watching it going, oh, there's space on the edges for the Roosters. I haven't really seen that much space. And so you kind of look at it and you go, well, why wasn't he there from the start? And look, to be fair, I wasn't calling for Drew Hutchinson to get called back in, immediately. But then, you go, well, I'm not in Roosters camp every week, seeing him every week. And I kind of feel like if I was seeing him every week, I would be like, he did do a job last year with Sam Walker. That's what's crazy is this team did better with a halves pairing of Drew Hutchinson and Sam Walker than what they currently did this year.
This time last year, they won, 8 on the trot heading into finals. Then
and the year before, they come fourth or something with a monster amount of injuries.
That's the other thing as well. I hear people now in hindsight going, they did go out week 1 of finals last year, but they were flying and then they ran into South, which turned into a fucking fight, not a game of football. Tedesco gets injured. Did Manu get injured?
Crichton gets knocked out.
Crichton got knocked out.
Tupu.
Lodge,
Lodge, Tupu.
Everything that went wrong that day, everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong.
Roosters fans obviously know it, but I think people underestimate it. And look, ifs and buts and this and that's get you nowhere. But that 8 on the trot going into finals and then that ridiculous game that brought them undone, they were firing.
They were flying.
Last year.
If they beat Rabbitohs there, I reckon they make the grand final.
Yep. Fair.
I reckon they make, unless they're on Penrith's side, but fair. I reckon they make the grand final. Or they would have actually ran up against Penrith the next week.
They would have gone. They could have made it to Penrith in the prelim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They would have played Cronulla the next week.
So, I thought Drew Hutchinson really squared him up. I guess the problem with the Roosters is that they may go on a little bit of a run here and win a couple of games, and I guess the concern is that it's going to get them no closer to what is the right direction forward for them. So I still think it's going to be quite a tough off-season in regards to, I think there's going to be quite a bit of movement at the Roosters, as they always do.
Won't that be a fascinating off-season?
Yeah.
Just see how they respond to this.
Which way they go with it, who they can get. Because who's on the market? No big dogs are on the market outside of Tino and Fafita, but maybe they will, but I don't think they're leaving the Titans.
And I think once again, I'm probably his biggest fan of all time, but I think it complements Cooper Cronk and just how important he was again.
Well, the ironic thing is he's actually the coach. He does 1 day a week as their attacking coach or halves coach right now. But yeah, it shows you how good.
But you know what? I'm sure it would be fantastic to have a mind like Cooper's around, but geez, there's no footballers that are on his level anymore. There's no unless you're talking to Ches or one of these matured 30-year-olds, even Cleary. the way that Cooper used to play his footy, just like everything was a game of chess. I'm not even sure if Cleary's on that level, to be honest.
See, I actually think
Cleary's more naturally talented.
I actually think he would suit more players like Townsend. I do think he would suit Cleary. I do think Cleary's more naturally talented. I agree, but I think like the current halves that the Roosters have, it's almost like they're the antithesis of what Cooper Cronk was. Like
Sam Walker is exactly that.
He's like literally like the complete other end of the spectrum in regards to the way you play seven. So,
or just your Roosters bias showing through again, Guru.
Anyway, so look,
membership in the car.
some good, some bad things with the Roosters. Win's a win. You take the 2 points. Onto the Sea Eagles. Very hard to judge the Sea Eagles on this performance because their front row was absolutely decimated, especially with Lodge going off. I think that kind of put them into areas of like, you doubt them winning. But I still think that we've seen other teams have situations where it's gone against them and they've managed to kind of, I guess, hang in there. And you still look at it. I know Lodge, only played 8 minutes, but with it, you still look at it and you've got Sipley, Woods, Bullymore, decent. And like, so they shouldn't have won it, but I just, the worry I have with the Manly Sea Eagles is like, they could have won it. I don't know what they are.
Yep.
Like, what are they as a team? And like, they're currently at $7 when they're playing. Who are they playing again? Sorry?
Panthers.
The Manly Sea Eagles should not. I know they're missing front rowers, but
At Brookie.
it's $7 with a team that has DC in it.
But I mean, mate, like the week before last as well when they played the Dragons, like I think the Dragons should have won that game if that try went their way.
Yeah.
It was a 12-point swing straight away. So I think Manly are in more trouble than what people are observing.
Yeah, no, I said it a few weeks ago. Like, I'm genuinely concerned for them.
I had that half against the Sharkies a few weeks ago where they blew them off the park. But outside of that, it has been very average for a month or so.
It's just concerning to see them, like the Roosters defence hasn't been their biggest problem all year. It's probably been their attack, weirdly, but, defence has not exactly been resolute in 2023. And Manly come in, took them 63 minutes to score a try, 2 tries off chip chases with miraculous bounces, and then a try in like the final minutes, which was off a kick deflection, that really weird one of Kohler.
Yeah.
That's pretty ordinary.
And they scored all their tries with Brown off the field. So it was
true.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, so you look at that. They looked flat coming off the hype of DC's 300th, but as you boys mentioned, short on middles. They lost Lodge early, but still, like you expected better. Fighting for the 8. You expected better.
Even in DCE's 300, they didn't look great. No. They did not look great. I've got to say, though, in their defence, that call to get Sipley off for 10 minutes, bro, they were losing the penalty count. Winning the... So Roosters had 10 penalties at that stage, and Manly had 5. And they got the person sent 10 in the bin. How does that make sense?
We're not doing this again, Kempy.
Sorry, apologies.
We've covered it.
Okay, I apologise, but I just have to say it for the Manly listening out there, that was outrageous. I couldn't believe what I was... It was in the middle of the field, lying in the ruck, penalty. Like, wasn't even going in for a try. What? Yeah, so look, I am a bit worried about Manly. I don't know what the direction is. Look, Brooks is going to add a ton to them next year. I know people like to, Brooks is the joke or whatever, but Brooks played outstanding yesterday. I think him and Ches, at least for the first 2 years, are going to be outstanding together. But I just need them to find some DNA.
Hold on, you're bleeding.
Yeah, I cut myself earlier this morning. I thought I could feel it.
Shaving?
Yeah. Yeah, look, bit of Barney rubble. Cut myself shaving this morning. I have this like red dot there that's always there, and if you cut it, and never usually do, it bleeds a lot. And so it decided to bleed, but the show's got to go on, Guru. Timmy?
Shit, I gave him a left. He's begging for a right.
Oh, fucking LA, the big boys.
You said one more mention of the Roosters and I'll drop you out.
So the show must go on, otherwise we won't be able to get this bloody out at 3 o'clock or close to 3 o'clock.
Playing hurt, it's Origin like over there.
It's Queensland. That's what Queensland do, mate. Queensland spirit. Cut myself shaving.
John Sattler busted his jaw in a grand final and played through it. Kempy's pimple popped and he's playing through the broadcast.
Mate, I wish it was a pimple. It's like this red mark that I have here. It's just always there. It's just always there. I don't know what it is, but anyway,
Oh.
it is what it is. But this is what I do
Paper's
for
not even
people.
that noticeable either.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's why I did it. It's like one of those strapping around the chins. Anyway,
Siri, can you define ticker? We're looking at it.
Anyway, yeah, Manly. I just don't know what they are as a club. Unfortunately, I don't think that they have found out who they are as a team. We speak about it all the time, guys, but you can look at most of the top tier clubs and you know exactly how they're going to come. Even some of the bottom tier, like your Dolphins, you know how they're going to play. The Knights, they've begun to build a DNA for themselves. At the moment, unfortunately, with Manly, it's just a bit too up and down for me to understand where they're headed. Now, they could come out next year and get all their players back, and once again, they're a top 8 side. But they also could come out next year and struggle again, and that's the concerning thing.
2 very sad campers on Thursday night over at Hello Sport, just quietly.
Yeah, look.
2 pretty rattled cages. I think they actually took it out on you, how rattled they were too.
Yeah, look, it's all right. It's all right. They're sad. They're hurting.
But they were hurting.
Yeah, they're hurting. And when your mates are hurting and, their life sucks because their team isn't going great, you're a punching bag. You're sometimes going to let it happen.
Couldn't have been a better stream to get a start on, could it?
Yeah, I'm sure it would have felt
by the
great.
Roosters.
Yeah.
I know.
Unreal.
Yeah. Anyway, hopefully they're picked their lip up this morning because it's going to be like that for the rest of the season. Now, let's get into the Warriors defeating the Titans. Look, I thought the Titans were so incredibly gutsy in this performance, and they really showed that ticker. Like, we just talked about Manly not having DNA. Like, I do believe the Titans are building DNA. Like, I do believe, they had that one blip on the radar, but for most of this year, or at least in the most of the last 8 weeks, they've shown ticker in nearly every game, even ones that they're losing. And so I really like that from the Titans. What I loved about the Warriors is the game was on the line, and there was a set where SJ of like 5-6 years ago, he would have been spinning edge to edge, just trying to score tries. There was that beautiful set with, I think it was Tohu Harris that goes over to essentially clinch the game. Pretty sure. I'll just check.
With about 8 minutes to
Yeah.
go.
Yep. And they just went tram line to tram line, about just past the goalpost, sometimes at the goalpost, but they basically kept it in between the 220 tram lines. And they just basically, the whole set was planned for Tohu Harris to get it at the end there. And I just thought, what a mature way to win a game. And it just shows you how far SJ has come and how far the Warriors have come, that they're not looking to spin it out to the wing to get this crazy try. They've got a set play, a set, like a whole set, getting to specific points in the field to create that opening. I remember there's a story that I think Luke Lewis told where I think he was playing for Australia. And I think like Cam Smith said to him, on tackle 4, I want you to run at that hole there and just run as hard as you can. And Luke Lewis was like, what the fuck? The ball's like all the way over there. Like, what do you, like, it's just what you want me to run straight at the player. Got to tackle 4. He ran straight at that hole. There was like 10-metre gap. And Smithy had called it from play 1.
That's awesome.
And so, with the Warriors, that set for Tohu Harris, that was a set. Like, that was a call from them. This is where we're going, and we're going to get a bit of space around the goalpost.
Well, and they got to that spot to create that space because AFB ran the decoy.
Yeah.
Biggest bloke on the field. And the Warriors did this really well with Adam Blake. And it's not just an Andrew Webster. They've been doing it for 2 or 3 years. He is one of the best decoys in rugby league, AFB, because you have to commit so much to him. And you could see from the reverse angle when AFB takes that run, he knows he's never getting the ball.
Yeah.
But he saw the feet of the defenders and he just went, sweet.
We need a decoy try assist stat.
We need, yeah, we do.
When you knock up a try
It's as
assist by just
important.
being a big boy run and a decoy.
Yeah.
And you can tell it was a set play because Egan went straight out of dummy half and threw a massive long ball out the back, not like deep out the back, flat to Harris. Like, that was just...
You can see on AFB's face it was a set play.
Yeah,
he knew
so
exactly
good.
what was happening.
So good. Like, to pull that together, like a lot of ball players, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't go for the play around the goalpost. They'd go to the edges and hope that the centre gets some space. So good to see.
It wouldn't happen because it's like way too subjective, but it'd be cool if a try contribution could go to like an AFB in that. Not a try assist, obviously, but a contribution.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, have fun judging that.
Yeah, so I just thought that just shows you how far the Warriors have come in maturity, in calmness, Can you imagine, because like they're down a player, the Titans.
Sorry, can I interrupt before we move on? Adam Blake's coming second in the league for decoy runs.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Wow. No shock, because the Warriors use him all the time like that.
Yeah. And
It's very effective.
It shows you how connected they all are. Like the fact that Egan's having the best year working with SJ's working with Adam Fanua-Blake, Tohu Harris has gone over for that try.
Well, you want to start. Adam Fanua-Blake is second overall in the league for decoys. Tohu Harris is fifth.
Fucking hell. That's crazy. That's like to be using your big men like that.
Yeah.
Just shows you a really smart game plan from Andrew Webster.
And yeah, both top 5 in the league for decoys, but also still punching out 15 to 20 plus runs every game.
Yeah, it's honestly.
And I'd be willing to bet the vast majority of times they run a decoy, it's for each other.
What's the average there, Guru?
Well, on average, Mitch Barnett's got the third most in the league.
There you
for
go.
Another Warrior.
So their forwards are just fucking
Yeah.
absolutely killing it.
Yeah.
Absolutely killing it. And so, yeah, it would have been very easy for the Warriors to get panicky. Like, because they'd be sitting there going, we can't lose a game against the Titans who are out of the 8 and they've lost a player for the whole match. And a key player, Fodawaker, would have been easy as to get panicky. They just played the same game they always play. So impressive. What do you think about the game, Guru?
Mate, I want to give a really big shout out to the Gold Coast Titans. They had no right to hang in that game whatsoever. You got to remember as well, pre-game they lose Brimson. They're already without Tino. To then lose Mo Fodawaker, another Origin player. Like outside of Fafita, it's their 3 best players.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yep.
They're playing a top 4 team, remember? We've spoken about them all year as a top 4 team, the Wires. Incredible stuff.
Yeah. I think it just goes so far to show you there's something building at the Titans.
There is something there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just really excited. As long as Fafita and Tino stay, I am really excited to see what Desi can do with his squad. Jeez Louise. And if they can get Benny Hunt too, Now, there's actually been reports coming out that Benny Hunt's going to push for another early release. So I wonder if he does end up at the Titans.
I'd love that. I'd be all for it.
Fucking oath, I'd be all for it. I understand he's getting releases from contracts and it's always not a good look, but at the same time, like, if he doesn't want to stay, what's the point of keeping him?
Yeah, exactly right.
Like, what is the point of keeping him? What do you think of the game, Timmy?
Yeah, the lateral showed 2 points to the Warriors, but the Titans are the talking point for me. A side that we've battered from pillar to post for the last few years, rightly so, and for many years before sort of myself and Guru joined this podcast about being too up and down, lacking probably ticker at times. We know they've always had points in them, but particularly defensive resilience is something that's eluded them big time. But as I said before, with the way the Warriors were playing this season, and particularly the last 6 to 8 weeks, I just thought they were going to blow them out of the water the rest of this game, and they would they could have won this game. Now, it was a 10-point margin in the end, but to dig in and show the ticker that they did, I don't know what Jim Lenihan said to him as soon as that happened, but he's doing a wonderful job up there. Now, I know it wasn't a typical sort of coach sacking mid-season where the team was coming last and whatnot. They were sitting around, were they 9th or 10th? Something happened. So they weren't going poorly, and the decision was obviously to get Desi Hasler on board, but he's come in and done a wonderful job with this side. So credit to him and the entire side, because I thought they were going to get shot. They were shot ducks after that send-off.
Especially when you have a look at their bench. Like you had Payne's younger brother Cleese. He only played 15 minutes. Isaac, younger brother Tino, he played 16. And Kinney played 12 minutes on the bench. So considering they were down to 12, the amount of minutes their starting guys played, incredible stuff. Mate, what about the fullback?
We've got to talk about him.
He is he the most entertaining guy to watch?
I'd still give that to Reece Walsh, but he's not far off.
But if you put Jaden Campbell on the end of that Broncos back line, then I reckon you're having a proper conversation.
Yeah, fair. Actually, I remember a while ago, so I think it was about a year and a half ago, I said to you, all on the same money, who do you sign, Kalen Ponga, Reece Walsh, or Jaden Campbell? And I think it's cleared itself up now, because, like, look, if Kalen stays on the field, you'd put him up there with Reece Walsh, but, geez, it's not as... Put it this way. It wasn't an obvious answer to that question back then, like in regards to Ponga had kind of cemented himself as he could really affect Origin games. Reece Walsh still hadn't played Origin, was at the Warriors at the time. And I think that you're right. If you put Campbell in a side going well, which the Titans could do next year, he could be one of the game's better fullbacks.
Jaden Campbell, a Queenslander or New South Welshman?
Pretty sure he's a Queenslander. Dropping the Gold Coast, I think.
It says birthplace Cronulla on his profile. That's what I had a feeling he was Queensland too, though.
I think he grew up on the Gold Coast, but it may be New South Welshman.
So we got Buller too.
Oh, did he commit?
Said he'd rather,
Said he'd rather New South Wales and Queensland?
I think Freddie had a gun behind his back.
He wants to. I don't think he just wants to. That doesn't mean he's going to get it. Though.
Eligible.
I think it's going to. I think it's going to be. It looks like it's going to be Queensland, but he wants to play for New South Wales.
He said he wants to. He wants to play Blues, but he's Queensland eligible. He said his dad lives in Coffs Harbour. He also wants to represent. I believe that the article, the Sydney Morning Herald article, had that he wants to represent Fiji and/or Samoa.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yep.
But yeah, wants to do New South Wales, but he's Queensland eligible. So really interesting to see how that plays out.
So he's not New South Wales eligible?
According to this article, he's Queensland eligible.
But is he also New South Wales eligible?
He must tick a few boxes. He must.
Can you be eligible for both or no?
Well, yeah, you can be born in one spot. And
Well, there's a checklist, and he's obviously some New South Wales, some Queensland. I don't know what the cutoff is. We need some
look, if he says he
clarification.
wants to play for the Blues, he's eligible. Like he's Blues. Like if I'm being honest, as a Queenslander, I don't want him to play for Queensland.
Buller this is straight from the article, is of New Zealand, Fijian, Samoan and Indigenous descent. He says, I'm eligible for Queensland, but I don't know. I'd like to play for New South Wales.
There you go. Boom.
So you wouldn't take him now?
No way. I was in like, who cares what I say? Like I'm fucking nobody.
Just save this podcast though, Matty.
Mate, I would rather put the boots back on and get out there than take a guy that says he wants to play for the Blues. Mate, play for the Blues. Good on you. Mad. But I would not want to.
Jaden Campbell grew up, played junior footy at the Gold Coast. So,
because his father would have moved there when he was relatively young, because of 2007. So he would have moved with him, obviously. But yeah, if Buller is he's what 20, 21 years old.
Yeah, he's young. Yeah.
Like, yeah, if he wants to play for the Blues, like, no hate or disrespect. Just as a Queenslander, I don't want someone putting on the Queensland jersey that wants to play for the Blues. No way.
So, like, it just makes it even more confusing next year. This is a hypothetical, obviously, but if Hunt does end up at the Titans, there's a bit of chat around it. That makes the Brimson, Jaden Campbell stuff even more difficult.
Well, I think you just Brimos will be put to centre then.
I hate that.
I hate it too, because like where Campbell has like these incredible moments that are just like highlight reel showstoppers, but when Brimo was playing fullback regularly, he doesn't have necessarily show-stopping moments, but he impacts games, I believe, at a more regular basis than Campbell does.
It's incredible. I don't think people appreciate how good AJ Brimson is. I know he's had the Origin caps, but
I agree.
I don't know why. I don't know if it's because of all his injuries or whatnot, but he doesn't get talked about anywhere near on the level that he should be.
I know. I totally agree. I think Brimo is unbelievable, and if he was at a top-tier club, he'd get more appreciation.
Like I can get around the idea of Brimson at 5'8" with 4 in the halves. That's extremely harsh on Tanner Boyd, but the predicament they've got themselves in is that they've got Jaden Campbell, who is a starting NRL player. As a fullback, I also hate Campbell playing in the front line because I think he's too small defensively. It doesn't work. But like if Hunt would have come, or even if Hunt doesn't come, like Tanner Boyd's probably getting. Unless they want to play him at centre, but what a waste. What a waste. AJ Brimson at centre.
Yeah, look, if Hunt comes, you'd go Hunt 4 and you'd probably be Tanner at 14 because he'd be a great 14. With Brimo at centre, it would take time, but could you make him into a Joey Manu-esque centre that comes in and roams and gets his 20 runs that he needs to get?
I know it's a little bit different, but I think we all would have had a very similar conversation about Val Holmes, for example, too. I know I felt that way anyway.
You know the difference, though? I see, like, Val Holmes and Joey Manu, they're, like, run-first, big, strong, fast ball carriers. AJ's got such brilliant just awareness for the game. He's got such great ball playing. And that because of his ball playing ability, I love seeing him sweeping and in those 3v2 situations. I don't see him as the big, strong, take those hard carries type player. I'm like, he's a gun, so he can probably do it, but I do think he's a different mould to Val and in particular Joey Manu.
I think you would, if you were going to play him at centre, I don't think you would use him as a traditional centre. You would have to build that edge around him.
It'd be interesting.
Which would be difficult. But I mean, if you could find a way to play footy with him playing left centre and Fafita at left edge, Campierre out there, like it could be.
But, yeah.
Even
then, like what is working so well for the Titans now, and this isn't to say he has to play left centre outside Fafita, but Fafita, let's bring his name up again. Fafita wants the Tom Optic type player, the hard running centre who can run that hard line, and he sweeps out the back and goes, thank you, that can hold up a play again. It's not AJ Brimson for me.
Yeah. But and I get like even when we all had the same conversation the day that they were both re-signed, going, how is this possibly going to work? And I understand why the Titans have done it. It's given them a lot of headaches, but I think it's worth keeping them both in the building.
Oh, it's just so tough. I think that Brimo's a victim of the fact that he can play other positions, whereas Campbell just can't, unfortunately. Like, I mean, he can go on and do a job to a degree, but I wouldn't want Campbell playing centre or even six,
Not at all.
Whereas like Brimo, he can do a job there. I actually think he could be really good at six, but he could do a job at centre. But is he going to be as good as we know he can be?
See, that's what I'd sit on, and I feel so harsh for Tanner Boyd because he's had a terrific year for them. But round one next year, let's say they don't get Ben Hunt, Brimson and Foran, Jaden at fullback. Like, that's it for me.
And then you basically just go, Tanner, you're 14, so you've got an opportunity to get the role if it doesn't work out. But we go with Brimo at 6. Yeah, that was my lineup heading into this year.
And then what? Does Tanner come on and just spend time at dummy half?
Just wherever, maybe even
Farrell's
13.
spell,
He's played quite a bit of dummy half before he...
But even then, if you've got you've got a ton of hookers already in your team. If you've got Sam Verrills, Aaron Clark...
Aaron Clark's at 13.
Chris Randall, all these blokes, but I'm saying who can deputise
they
at
can do
9.
it.
You don't need Tanner Boyd. I feel so harsh to him, but that's...
Well, surely, if you're Tanner Boyd, if you're not the halfback for that team, I'd be looking elsewhere.
You'd get a contract for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And it deserves one.
Which is the risk they're going to take because, Foz, another year?
That's what I'm saying. That's a massive risk for Titans to lose a guy like him. It's such a headache. I mean, but the good thing for the Titans is like it's been quite a few years since they've had this kind of like headache. And all the best clubs usually have something like this where there's just gun.
Yeah. The other issue that arises from it is a halves combination of Foran and Brimson, both very injury prone, can find one. So it's like you do want a good backup half to come in there when required. And
Do you potentially look at Foran being the one that you cut?
Mate, he's brought so much to that side.
I agree 100%. But if it means you're going to lose one of these young guys that you think could be the future, do you cut Foz short 1 year?
No, I think we've seen so much how important an old head is in that spine that it's just not even worth it.
And so we saw him unlock for feeder this year.
Yep.
Left edge, attack, and just as importantly, defence has been great. I think Foz big part of it.
Such a tough.
And he's only 32, I think. So I know he's had injuries or whatever, but I think he's actually not as old as you would think. He's just been around for a while. But yeah, really gutsy performance. 33, really gutsy performance from the Titans. I think they're building something brilliant. Really do. As long as they keep their key players, I cannot wait to see them developing next year. With the Warriors, Tohu Harris, great again. Egan, I want to talk about Egan. I think that he has really come leaps and bounds, and he just seems so on the ball with Sean Johnson. Like, their connection, they must spend a lot of time off the field together because he just seems to know exactly when to give SJ the ball, when not to give him the ball, when to call plays himself. I think that he's become leaps and bounds over this last 12 months, really starting to hit his potential because he was at the Panthers and you could see it in him. You could see a good hooker there, but it just never seemed to all come together. I think it's beginning to come together.
He was one of those guys, Wade Egan, when he was coming through the juniors, he looked like he was going to be a gun. He then got to first grade and it just plateaued for what felt like 4 or 5 years. And now I agree with you. Like, I look at Wade Egan and I think like if you were to do like a skill tester thing, I don't think he hits too highly in any of those areas, but his connection with SJ, his connection with all of his forwards as well, it's second to none at the moment.
So smooth. Like even the try Tohu Harris scored. We'll look at Tohu Harris and we'll talk about Adam Fanua-Blake and they're incredible, and we'll talk about SJ guiding the team. No, Wade Egan guided the team around the park in that scenario. SJ may have made the call of we're doing, set red because it would have been called a set. But it's Egan that needs to make sure that everyone's in the right position around the ruck because that was ruck plays. That wasn't spreading it constantly. And even if it is spreading it like a 2-pass, it's still Egan that needs to make sure that SJ gets the ball when he's supposed to. And that last ball to Tohu was an absolute... Think about this. You're, 5 metres from the line, whatever it was, you got defence absolutely screaming at you. You're not even throwing out the ball back deep. You're throwing it flat out the back. It's the hardest... nearly the hardest pass you can throw, and it's on the try line, so it has to be pinpoint because if he has to gather it back there, he gets tackled. He hit it perfectly, and I think Egan is really, really starting to show, his potential and what he can be.
Christ, he's a tough bastard too.
Tough as anything, tough as nails. Outside of that, I thought that obviously our man Jackson Ford, really another good showing from him.
Who's So firstly on Jackson Ford, he's been wonderful this year. If he's playing on the right edge outside SJ, I think he has 3 tries this year, or 3 or 4 tries this year. He could have about 12 tries. Whose boy is he? Who got in first out of you two? Because I know you were both on early.
Probably Garino.
I was in Gerringong for the birth.
Look,
He's been great.
Yeah, I was onto him but I was more onto him like when he came into the Dragons. I was like, I think I might have said on the podcast, like, Jackson Ford looks all right. I wasn't like, he's the next big thing or anything, but I was like, I think he's got a go about him. And I was shocked. We were both shocked when they...
To be honest with you, when he first came in at the Dragons, I thought he was going to be a 13 because he used to get through so much work in reserve grade and everything, and then the Dragons just never seemed to utilise him. I probably didn't think he'd be, attacking-wise, as good as he is on the edge. When you said he scored 3 tries, I thought, surely he scored more than 3.
I feel like there's been 10 different times where he's had them taken off him, or he's been like an inch short of the line.
Can you get his line breaks up, please? I think he makes there's a lot of time where like he'll break the line, nearly score, and
it's like his 3 could have been 10.
So Jackson Ford, great. Another
As
guy.
you said, if he was on the right,
His
That
line,
3 could have
how
been
good's his
13.
line that he
Yeah,
runs?
for sure.
Yeah.
Another guy I want to give a shout out, Mitch Barnett. Like, there's many players like Mitch Barnett. Mitch Barnett. He's a guy that if he went to another club without such a good coaching staff, he would have never been able to channel his aggression, his anger. This is a guy that had that big suspension for the Knights, really, really struggled to keep his head in games because he was so aggressive. There's not been a single problem with Mitch Barnett, and he's been arguably one of their most consistent players all year long. So I just want to give him a massive, similar-ish to the Hudson Young story, where these guys are hyper-aggressive. They've come through the grades playing a certain style of footy. They get to NRL and they really struggle to adapt to that cleaner style of rugby league. But I think he's been so bloody good for the Warriors. So good.
he is the perfect guy that I'd be putting on to Jack Hetherington.
Oh, mate.
They were the exact same. He was where Hetherington is now is exactly where Barnett was about 3 years ago.
Yep. And I would argue that Hetherington naturally probably looks like a bigger physically, maybe better footwork. Like, you know what I mean? Like a guy that if you were to pick those two of who can impact games more, just off physical attributes, you would probably lean towards Hetherington. But it's Barnett that has clearly, whether it's coaching or attitude or whatever, and to be fair to Hetherington, he's come back and he's been calm and he's gotten through his work. But Barnett's gone to a whole other level. How many line breaks?
Jackson Ford, 4 tries, 7 line breaks.
So 7 line breaks.
Yep.
It's pretty decent for a
Another
backline.
huge factor with Barnett, I've said it before, but he can switch between middle and edge so effectively. I'm not convinced what position is better for him. Probably leaning more towards middle these days, but you put him on an edge, he's such an attacking weapon as well.
Played 61 minutes in the middle.
Yeah, he's gun.
Like
Handy
that's
goal kicker too. Good to have him in the squad.
Yeah,
17 runs, 153 metres, 64 post contact, 30 tackles. Like, if your front rowers do 150 metres plus, that's a win. That's a bit. That's if your front rower is making 30 plus tackles and missing 1 or 2, and he's running for over 150 metres in the NRL, that's a top 8 at the very least standard front rower, or even they're similar-ish numbers to your Fisher Harris's, Leotas.
He's an interesting guy because I wonder with Mitch Barnett, Webby wouldn't have signed him. He would have been one of those guys that was signed when he arrived. So I wonder what he thought of Mitch Barnett because for me, I always thought it was a bit of a punt. He's a good footballer, there's no doubt about that. But I thought it was a punt to sign.
I thought it was a massive
Barnett.
punt.
So and once again, it'll be interesting to see if Webby at the start of the season would have been stoked to have him.
I think I read an article. Could you try and find it? Webby basically, I think he said something along the lines of, I didn't look to change anything because I wanted to bring the best out of the group that was there.
Yep.
So he came in with the right mindset, I reckon. Like,
coach's team you have.
Yeah, like, I've got this team. I want to bring the best out of them. And if you come in basically going, this isn't my roster, I think the players can feel it sometimes.
Yep.
Even if it's not said by anyone, but as a player, you can just feel like, I'm not his guy. Whereas he came in going, these are my guys.
And I mean, if you're a coach coming into the Warriors who, they haven't played finals footy in 10 years now, you could fully understand him pushing that argument of, this isn't my squad, remember? So if this doesn't go well, it's not my team. But instead, he has just embraced it and gone all in.
And basically, he hasn't gone in and gone, we need to clean out. We need a culture change. When Now, clearly the culture has changed, but you don't want to publicly, because what you're saying, when you say stuff like that as a coach, what you're saying to those 30 players is, you're not my guy and I don't believe in you. Wayne Bennett, when he's been asked about recruitment this year, he said, no, believe in the players I've got. That means something. Like that means something. And Webster has got all those boys believing in themselves and believing in each other. And you can tell. Mitchell Bunner is a perfect example. Heaps of talent, bit of a hothead, gets a coach that says, I get you're a hothead, I get it, let's channel it in different ways. And they've done that. It's been amazing. So really, really good stuff.
I thought Torpeki was really good as well. Poor old Chance. Third concussion of the season, so he'll miss at least a week and hopefully himself back and firing before the end of the regular season. But coming in from 18th man, a young fella.
That footwork.
Not an ideal preparation going into a game after, 15-odd minutes. Boom, mate, you're in. Let's go. Ran for 160-odd metres, 17 runs, 6 tackle busts. You'd think he probably gets the nod there at fullback for them. And
he trialled really well, actually.
Yeah, great opportunity for him the next few weeks.
He blew it away in Q Cup last year.
Yeah, it was him and Campbell, actually, wasn't it? So him and Campbell, when they did play Q Cup, I'm pretty sure
he was playing for Burleigh. From
they
memory.
fucking absolutely tore teams to shreds, and it was between because Tui Picky was at the Titans last year. Was it last year? Yeah, last year he was at the Titans, and so Gold Coast had like Brimo, Campbell, and this kid, I think he might even won back of the year or something like that. Yeah. So he is good. He is good. Super dangerous player.
His nickname at Burleigh was the Magician.
Okay. You know what my nickname was?
What was your nickname?
Skirt.
I knew that. I just wanted to hear you say it again.
You know what's funny is like, it's been so far since my career, like, and I was a winger, and you listen to people like, give you shit and you talk all that kind of stuff. I thought that I was like soft as shit. Thinking about it now, I think, oh, you're just a pussy winger. But I go back, when I see some of my highlights, I'm like, damn, that was a tough carry. And I'm like, damn, I actually wasn't soft. I actually did the tough carries, man.
You bought up in the hype of everyone else and what they said to you.
I really did. I remember Wendell, he goes to me, it's like, would have been like 6 months ago or maybe a bit longer. And he's like, mate, you used to take all the tough carries. And I was like, I didn't. What are you talking about? And then I've seen some highlights. I'm like, fuck, that was a pretty fucking tough carry. Like, so don't believe the hype, people. Believe in yourself. That's the message. Believe in yourself.
When I said he brained Queensland Cup last year, I didn't realise this. He won the Petro 7-7 medal, which was the best and fairest. He won Rookie of the Year and Fullback of the Year.
So if he goes on to kill it, that's my guy because I said that first. Can we all get official?
Sure.
Can we all get official? If Tuapiki goes on to kill it, I said that he got the award first. Guru didn't even know who he was.
I'll get the receipts from a year ago.
So very exciting. Now let's get on to Panthers v the Storm. Panthers are great. Next. Fuck.
No, but like in all seriousness.
What more is there to say on this team? And I know Panthers fans are saying, look, I just want you to celebrate this win. I want to talk about it. And we will talk about it. But they are truly becoming a side. They're playing too good for content creators because what do you say about them? What do you say about this side? They're on another level. They're so dominant. They squeeze every team they play out of competitions. And I'd argue this may be the best version we've seen in the 3-year run that they've had. It is unbelievable what they're achieving. Cleary, he just looks like his confidence is through the roof. Like he has got a ball on a string. No one can come near him. And like, I don't know what to say about this side anymore. They are almost, if you were to put together the perfect side, they're almost that. It is the most balanced side we may have ever seen. It is the most lethal side. It is the gutsiest side, the tough. Like, it is unbelievable what they're achieving.
The thing that stood out for me on the weekend was they played Hosking at centre. And instead of just replacing Isaac Tunga, they went, fuck it, Critter, can you jump to the other side of the field? And Hoskins, can you defend at right centre? Crazy.
And guess what? Hoskins had 2 try assists.
Yep. What about that catch and pass? That was good.
It turns out I am the best ball playing centre at the Penrith Panthers. That first one he did to Toto, as a Brian Toto Supercoach owner, I'm like, you sit there week after week watching Critter dummy and go himself and kill it. Zach Hoskin just catch, bang, try. And then he stuffed the next one up and I thought, it was just a one-off lucky one. And then later on in the game, he did it again. And they could have gone, say, Taruva to centre and brought in whether it was a McLean or a Jenkins, anyone like that. No, we'll just put our back row recruit to centre, and he'll do a gun job there.
We may be witnessing, and they've still got plenty of years to prove it because we've had so many great systems in the past. Storm obviously stands out. We may be seeing the best footballing system we've ever seen at a rugby league club because Hoskins went to centre and killed it. Stephen Crichton can change centre position and win a Dally M at that position. Like, we are talking about guys that can play anywhere and not just play good and do a job, dominate tippity top sides like the Storm. It is unbelievable. Like, guess who has the least injuries over the last 5 years? Penrith Panthers. Now, technically it's the Dolphins, obviously only been one for a year. Penrith Panthers. So, like, I truly believe that, okay, they may not have the longevity that the Storm have had, and they also don't have the added battle the Storm had because they had to bring people down to Melbourne. So that makes that whole situation unique, and it may never be able to top because of the fact that the difference between Melbourne and Penrith is Penrith have the biggest junior base in the country. But when it comes just tit for tat, you take out, who they can bring in and where they're located, it may be the best footballing department we've ever seen. Ever.
Special shout out to the moron that would have told you it was the Dolphins, not the Panthers, over the last 5 years. They would have been in the comments.
They would have been in the comments.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
Hey, I agree, mate. I think it is right up there with the best systems we've ever seen. I think it's Brisbane on their day that could give them a shake this year, but I'm not even convinced. You'd want to hope that Penrith aren't on one of their days.
They're getting into Tyson areas where they almost psych teams out before they play them. That's how dominant they're getting, where teams are rocking up going, oh, shit. Like, not only do we have to go 80 minutes with these people, but we have to be the best we all can be at the same time.
And I reckon the more and more I watch the Panthers play the Storm, they're still shitty about that grand final from 2020.
Oh, absolutely.
You can see it.
Well, and there was banter after from some of the Storm boys, like, giving it to the Penrith boys, and then obviously you saw Penrith give it to the Eels boys, so it's all part of the package, guys. But I agree. I think they're still pissed about it.
Yeah, I think Jerome Luai in particular is pissed about it still.
Yeah, add in that going into next week's game, they're going to be near full strength. Now, Taylor May gone since the start of the season, so put him out of it, but they'll be missing Spencer Leniu for another couple of weeks. They won't rush him back, no need to, but Isaac Tungo sounds like he potentially could have played on the weekend. He'll come back in at centre. Hoskin can go back to probably the bench or potentially out of the side because that's how good this side is. Cleary's got his 5-week rest or more, whatever it was. They've been able to rest players post-Origin games. They'll probably rest players around 27 or 26 whenever they choose to do that. It's been the perfect prep for the finals campaign, and they'll be going in, as it stands, close to, full strength.
Yeah, like that injury to Cleary might have been the best thing that could have happened to him, from a club perspective.
And it's happened the last 2 years in a row as well. He always gets injured towards the back end of Origin, has a 5-week spell, and then comes back fresh.
Planned injury.
And I think that he's really adding that pizzazz to his game to a degree. Like, you're seeing him have a bit of like a playful kind of kick where he shouldn't really be kicking like that. He could just do the cookie cutter kick, but he's so friggin' confident that he's having fun out there. And that's when a player like him becomes scary because sometimes they can fall too heavily onto their structured play. And that was the knock on Cleary a couple of years ago was if you upset his rhythms and the way he plays, he really struggles to adapt. Now, any young half struggles to adapt. Whereas he's getting into areas where, no, he dictates terms regardless. He doesn't just have an A game plan. He's got a B and a C and a D. It is super incredible. What is he, 25 now? 25 years old, and he may be... Look, I'd be very surprised if they don't win the minor premiership. So what, you've got 4 in a row now? That's 4 minor premierships. Oh, no, they lost at the last second to
I think
Storm.
2021, it was Storm.
So 3 out of the last 4.
Yeah, it was.
And 2 premierships, and he may get his 3rd premiership at 25 years old. Tell me another 7 that's done that in the modern era. If he does win the...
Yeah, crazy.
Insane.
I'm going to break our rule for a moment because there was something that really shit me in this game that I couldn't even fathom. When Nathan Cleary put in that kicked it from sort of the right side. It wasn't a great kick, and Will Warbrick dropped the ball, and they challenged it, and it went upstairs. It was one of the most blatant knock-ons I have ever seen. That has been a knock-on for 120 years of football. And in 120 years' time, it will still be a knock-on.
Mate, you got angry at me for bringing it up.
I know, and I deserve everything I get.
And now you bring it up.
It's wild.
Just go, knock on, boom. What does it look like? An old boom. Gone. Yeah. We're good.
Give you the hot tip. If you want to know if it was a knock on or not, watch Will Warburton.
I know.
He knew it was a knock on.
Oh.
The refereeing in AFL is flawless. just if you're wondering.
I got a question. You bring up Cleary before, like one halfback, and the only one I can think of was Cronk. But even like he didn't win the minor premierships. What do you reckon is more impressive? What Cleary's done in the last 4 years, or what Cronk did from 2017 to 2018, 2016 to 2019 over 2 clubs?
I reckon Cleary, because Cronk came into a Storm side that was already pretty high. And also, he wasn't the main man at the Storm. It was Smith and Slater, in my opinion. And I'm not taking away what he did. What he did was absolutely phenomenal. And then obviously he went into a Roosters side that was already amazing. Whereas Cleary has gone basically out of the 8 into this. And when he came into the side of the Panthers, he was the only Origin player in that side. And so that's the only reason why I think I would probably say if Cleary does win this premiership, I would say the run from Cleary has been better. But if you want to say Cronk, 2 different clubs, fair. What do you boys reckon?
Yeah, it's tough because obviously Cronk lost the 2016 grand final, won 17, then moved clubs, won 2 in a row. And then, of course, the Storm won it the year after he retired. So he sort of stopped the Melbourne Storm winning for a period of time. It's tough. I think I'm probably leaning towards Cronk right now, but if Cleary wins the grand final this year, that changes it.
Yeah, I'm with you too.
Yeah, much the same, boys. If Cleary wins it this year, I'd give him the nod as it stands. Probably just Cooper. As you said, Cooper just did it in absolutely stacked teams. Now, clearly Penrith is now, but you already touched on it. Cleary has been the focal point of building this dynasty, where he's not saying Cooper wasn't at the Storm, but like Cooper's teams were unbelievable. The Penrith side 3-4 years ago they were middling in the pack, and now they've gone 3 seasons in a row, 4 seasons in a row, unbelievable. So,
and also like Cronk, that's 2 immortals you're playing with.
Exactly.
You know, imagine if Cleary had the immortal number 9 and the best ever number 9 and the best ever number 1. And I sound disrespectful, to be honest. I'm not trying to be disrespectful at all to Cronk. Let's be real. At the moment, I've still got Cronk's incredible run ahead. But if Cleary wins this grand final, I'd have to say it's Cleary.
That's where I think sometimes we are harsh on guys like Cooper Cronk because they were in very good teams. And yes, they were. But, I mean, you took him out of 1 Origin series across 10 years, and what happened? Those other immortals couldn't beat Josh Reynolds and Trent Hodgkinson, respectfully to them. You know, the Melbourne Storm go to 2 grand finals in a row. He leaves. They did go to another grand final, to be fair, but they get thoroughly outplayed by Cooper with 1 arm.
The only argument I'd make on the Cooper Cronk Origin argument is we won Origins before he arrived at the 7. But it's a point. It's a good point.
For sure. I just think sometimes we write off champions because they're in good teams too easily. I just think it's very unfair on guys sometimes.
Yeah, I'm not writing anyone off.
Yeah.
But
good
some people say that.
They've got good halfbacks.
Yeah.
It has to play a role.
People that go, like when Teddy was on his run, they would go, watch him do it. You know, could he do it at such and such? And it's like, yeah, he kind of could. Go back and look at his Tigers stats. They were some of the best you've ever seen. So I understand what you're saying.
And it's like, like the Roosters team we went to was stacked. The Roosters team remained pretty stacked since they haven't fired a shot.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Anywhere else on the Penrith side you just want to talk about?
No.
That back row situation, it is tough. The Scotty Sorensen and Liam Martin situation, I don't know what you do there. I was pretty sure.
For the first time on the weekend, both of them didn't play 80 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
And Scotty Sorensen played 71, Martin played 70, and then obviously you got Zach Hoskins in centre. I don't know what you do, eh? Do you put Sorensen back to be in it? I mean, does it even friggin' matter?
Well, yeah, it doesn't matter. Well, that's all. I sort of thought when Spencer Leniu got injured, I thought, okay, they'll move one of them back now to give him some punch off the bench. They didn't, and it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Once they get Leniu back, they're almost unbeatable now with him. It's insane.
Quick shout out to Isaiah Yeo. 80 minutes, 24 runs, 200 metres, 40 tackles, 0 misses, 0 errors. Fuck.
You know, it's wild too. If you just played me that clip and said, what week is it? I'd go, it could be anywhere from 1 to 23.
I know.
I don't know and I don't really care. He does it every week.
Every week. He is just so consistent. Victim of his own consistency. So, Panthers looking fantastic. Now onto the Storm. obviously missing a couple of players in regards to their centres. Now, Olam was actually dropped into reserve grade, and obviously Remus Smith has been injured. But outside of that, are we looking at any other injuries?
Hughes and Coates are out.
Hughes and Coates. In the forward pack, though?
In the pack.
Yeah, because I'm just focused. I'm focused on the pack.
No.
Yeah.
I think this is essentially their full strength.
That's as I said. Like, obviously Hughes is a
Tarek
massive.
Sims is back this week from suspension.
Hughes is a massive out. And no, there's no denying that. But my focus is on the forward pack, and they weren't. Unfortunately, they weren't even close.
Yeah.
They weren't even close. And so that's a real concern when you look at Melbourne Storm's forward pack going into finals footy, and that if that's the bar, and
Which it is.
yeah, it is. Like, even Nelson had a quiet game. Big Nas, quiet as anything. Like, yeah, I just don't know how they do it this year.
And to be fair, we're probably not talking too heavily on the Melbourne Storm pack if they play anyone else this weekend. But when you do go up against this Penrith side, you realise how far off the mark other teams are.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, it's what's the measuring stick here? Because if we're talking the Storm being title contenders, said they just looked completely blown off the park by the side that are very short price premiership favourites. So, like, I'm willing to put a line through this game in terms of the Storm, and can they make a run through the finals? Well, yeah, sure, they potentially can, but if they also come up against Penrith in any week of the finals, are they going to go anywhere near them? Probably not.
Probably not, yeah.
You've got, like, I said, Jerome Hughes was outstanding last week and missed out this week. He'll be in doubt again to play this week. We said it before, but Pappenhausen's the wild card. He returned on the weekend, got through his return successfully.
Looked decent.
Looked all right. So he's the wild card there, but Ryan Pappenhausen coming back and looking good is also not going to help you forward pack against the Penrith Panthers. So
They just didn't have... They just, honestly, very surprising in regards to... You never thought you would see a Storm pack be this far off the pace. And we've been speaking about a couple of years that the forward pack needs a bit of tinkering. And look, it's not a lack of effort or anything, but they just didn't look like, unfortunately, at the level that the Panthers players are.
They look exactly what we spoke about in the preseason on paper, what they look like. They lack punch.
Yeah. Yeah, so, you can never put the line through the Storm, and they've been so inconsistent this year, by their own lofty standards, and they're still, sitting in the top. What are they currently sitting? 4th? Which is just a testament to their incredible club.
even looking 12 months on, though, the corresponding game last year, I believe they knocked them off 20-0 in Penrith. So I know it's only one game, but the pack, they don't look there at the moment.
Yeah, unfortunately they don't. Any performances from the Storm you want to talk about? As in players?
I thought Harry Grant was solid, as he always is, but mate, nothing really jumped out at me.
Not performance related as such, but gutted for George Jennings, who cannot take a trick, that poor bugger. Lasted 15 minutes, injured again. Sounds like 6 to 8 weeks, so that was the initial word. So, yeah, concerning.
Harry Grant made 55 tackles, which is a good night. Only 2 missed.
So I'm just looking at these numbers. The most metres anyone ran for in this side for the Storm was Seve, 144.
What about forwards?
Forwards, the most metres ran were Christian Welsh, 122.
It's just Penrith, isn't it?
Jeez Louise. That is, all metres run. Penrith ran for 1,914. Storm ran for 1,412.
If those numbers are against any other side in the competition, you go, all right, this is super concerning. Penrith do that to everyone.
Yeah. They just choke you out of games. So, look, massive shout out to Ryan, though, Ryan Pappenhausen. I actually thought his ball playing looked really silky. Probably the best it's ever looked. In regards to the way he played, didn't look like he was hesitant. Didn't look like he looked like a step above, in my opinion. Like, just the way he carried himself on the field, the class. Great return.
Only small things as well, but with an injury like that, like I thought it was very good to see him goalking from the sideline. He was doing general play kicking.
Yeah.
Did the kickoff. So just little things like that. He only played 40 minutes in that game. So what do? Do you play him down there for another half?
Oh, for sure. Don't you like the thing with the Storm, and I think Bellamy would probably be quite honest with himself, is rushing Pappenhausen back on a win you a comp. you're probably going to finish top 4. Do you really want to risk a guy that could win you a comp next year when he's fully fit and good to go?
Get him through 80 this week for the Falcons with a bit of luck. Then the following week, you consider maybe playing him 20 to 30 off the bench at NRL level. But even so, 2 weeks of 80 playing
I'd
for the
probably want 2 weeks of 80.
Play him 2 weeks just to get the match fitness back and all that, confidence up, and then get him back off the bench or starting, whatever it is, depending on how he goes.
What about on the weekend? He obviously came back. Justin Olam played as well. They played the Ipswich Jets. Poor bloody Ipswich Jets. They haven't won a game all year, and they had to play Ryan Pappenhausen and Olam last week.
Bloody hell. Alrighty, Bundy Mixer. What another great round of NRLW. With Bundy in the NRL, they're back. The world's first mixed gender fantasy league where fantasy sports fans can pick their team from both the men's and the women's league. It's called the Bundy Mixer, where you pick 3 NRL players and 3 NRLW players each week to score points for their on-field contributions, such as tries, tackles, and meters gained. With no salary cap and teams resetting each week, there are prizes to be won each game week. Meaning, no matter how bad a game week you might have had, your every chance to take out the top prize of $4,000. Head to mixer.nrl.com. Really fun. And as I said, each week resets, guys. So you might have a bad week, you re-up the next week, and you got equal chance to win the top prize of $4,000. Mixer.nrl.com. Also, don't forget, guys, it's gone, but we actually have Bloke Beer on special. It's been deleted. Not on special?
No, it is. I had to change the notes and I deleted the first part.
Oh, okay.
I'll send you it. Hang on.
Liquor Legends, 6 packs?
Do you want me to read it out?
Yeah, you read it out, mate.
All right. Okay. You asked for it, so here it is. Liquor Legends Bloke Midi 6-pack special for $16.99. The lager 6-pack special went so well, we decided to do the same for Midi. Get to a Liquor Legends store and reward yourself with a 6-pack of Bloke Midi for $16.99. You can find your nearest Liquor Legends store on the website. This special will be available running in Queensland, New South Wales and ACT.
Holy.
Do some weird shit for a beer right now,
Yeah.
Matty. That was good.
Don't be
Mate.
surprised to see a spike in Bloke beer sales
Surely.
off the back of that read.
Surely. So get in your local, grab a case of Bloke Beer, the beer of rugby league, at your Liquor Legends. Also in Celebrations, Bottle-O, IGA Plus Liquor, Porter's Liquor, and the Thirsty Camel. If they've sold out, go and ask politely, could you order some Bloke Beer, and they'll get it in. And it is the official beer of rugby league. Tastes absolutely beautiful. If you haven't given her a crack, you're cruising your car right now, you're listening to the podcast, or you're going for a jog, get into your local, just give her a try. Grab a 6-pack, give her a try. You will not be disappointed. Now let's get into the next game. Broncos defeat the Cowboys 30-14. What an exciting game. Jesus, especially the first half. Super exciting, end-to-end stuff, high quality. I actually thought there was probably, even though Panthers' standard is the highest at the moment, probably the closest to semi-finals intensity for at least the first half. And a really, really good win for the Broncos. I thought their forward pack was outstanding. I guess a little bit concerning for the Cowboys in their attack. They just couldn't really seem to execute. Now, I don't know whether that was just incredible defense from the Broncos forward pack or it was their lack of ability to create stuff. But I really love this from the Broncos. To do this at Cowboys home when they need to win to stay in the 8 with no Adam Reynolds, no Kobe Hetherington, really, really good win for the Broncos.
I thought this scoreline really complimented the Cowboys. I thought the Broncos were much better than a 16-point victory. How many tries do you reckon you bombed? 4?
Mate, 4 in the
Maybe
first
5?
half.
Heaps.
4 in the first half.
Oh, big Tommy Flegler. Got into open space, 2-on-1 with fullback. He wasn't passing the ball. He smelt the line and he was taking it on.
Even when Percura went through on the right edge, and you could see him and Katoni Staggs were trying to work out how it was never going to work. Yeah. It was never going to work out. And somehow they gave away a penalty off the back.
I think it was like 4 tries, but I just love the grit and defense far out. I mean, we completed at 67% and we still scored 30 points. Like, we spoke about last week against the Roosters. You cannot give the Broncos a sniff because they will just put points on you. You can have them under the pump. I think there was a period where we had maybe 10 tackles in their 20 and we're up by with 13 plus up. And they just make you pay from anywhere on the field. I actually think they're probably the best at scoring long-range tries. I haven't got a stat on that, but it just feels like it. Really, really good performance. What do you boys think?
Yeah, I was just going to say, firstly, it was just a cracking game of footy to watch. It was so fast. It was so free-flowing. There were two outstanding attacking sides on show. They said that first half in particular. And, mate, the Broncos will take so much out of this. As you said, just without Adam Reynolds, Jock Madden coming in, and he had a mixed game, but he also had some really good moments. And what I love about Madden is he just really backs himself, doesn't he? If he sees an opportunity, he takes it. Like, he set up the first try running it on fifth tackle with a peach of a cutout ball. To do that, come in, stepping into a gun side. If that goes wrong, you know, your head's on the chopping block, people are up here. Took it on, pulled off, loves running the ball. There are a few little issues he had, but again, he's not Adam Reynolds at the end of the day. So to notch that win without A-Ray, the confidence that will do for the team, for Madden, mate, hard to fault you at the moment.
Mate, it's almost scary what the score could have been if Reynolds was playing. Like, could you imagine Reynolds with the opportunities and, you know, his kicking game? Like, that's where Madden, he had some great moments, but just needs a bit of work on decision-making sometimes. But, I mean, look, he's essentially a rookie half coming into a side where he's only been at the club for a year. So I thought he had a great showing. As I said, a few little errors here or there, but I agree with you, Timmy. Like, what more could you expect? Like, they got the job done. They won by 30. He had to do something right for that to happen.
This game, like, even without Reynolds, where'd you bomb 4 tries that were drawing past? If you score 3 of them like you usually would, all of a sudden that's 48-14.
Yeah. Yep.
Against a side who'd, prior to last week's upset against the Titans, or they're 6 on the trot or something, storming home.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, really good stuff. I mean, so we had about 67% completion, and we also lost the penalty count 8-4. So, like, we should not have won by that much, but Broncos just seemed to be this side that they would just out of nowhere put points on you.
Where does Ricky fit?
I think at the moment,
he fit?
I think at the moment the bench.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure on the bench, like absolutely in the 17. But mate, Kurt Capewell was outstanding yesterday. He was good against the Roosters. I thought he was on the weekend. I thought Kurt Capewell probably had his best game. It might be the best game he had in Broncos colours. He did not stop working. Every time we needed a tough carry, Capewell took it. You know, there was no one around the ball. The outside backs were gassed. The forwards were gassed. Capewell would be there to take it.
Do you think Piakura has locked in that 80-minute edge roll?
Mate, not 80 minutes, but I do think he's locked in to start. Mate, he has been... Like, okay, yeah, he bombed that try, but... Fuck, what about when he bumped Semi Valame?
Yeah.
Like, Valame's fucking massive. He's not a small winger. So... And I think Ricky was fresh to play because I think he was 18th man.
He was, yeah.
Yeah, so like it's not like you wouldn't put an injured guy there. Yeah. So I think they're probably running with Piakura and Capewell. And look, I think Ricky's big enough if he wants to play in the middle off the bench. And I think that, you know, sometimes young gun stars, they almost earn the right to keep the spot. Like, it'd be pretty unfair to go to Piakura after the impact he's had the last 2 games. Oh, mate, you're back to the bench.
So they flirted with Capewell spending a bit of time in the middle, sort of mid-season there. You wouldn't go back to that and just start Ricky?
No, I think that Capewell's been really good for us on the edge. I actually don't mind moving Carrigan out on the edge to give him a bit of a breather, but also keep him on the field. Because like when we take him and Haas off, we're just nowhere near as punchy. Whereas if he stays on an edge, if Carrigan stays on an edge, he gets to stay on the field. Because what did he play? 80 minutes. Whereas usually he gets taken off. So I like the fact that we can just keep him on the field somehow.
You mentioned Capewell there before. Like, I've noticed it over the last month. It's weird with Capewell. Like, I watch him and I get to the end of the game sometimes and he's missed 9 tackles. And I know you might watch the Broncos closer than I do, but I quite often don't notice that he's missed that many tackles in a game. You have a look over the last 3 weeks. He's missed 5 tackles in 3 weeks. Look at the 2 weeks before that; he'd missed 14 tackles in those 2.
So that's what I found interesting, and can you get your opinion on? Because I know you were semi-critical of Capewell up until really the Origin period, and up until sort of some decent form recently. And at that stage, you were sort of around sitting there going, you know, maybe you can move into the middle and have Piakura and Ricky, but now it's Ricky of all 3 of those. He's the one you're saying, no, maybe he comes off the bench. Yeah,
for now, I reckon. As I said, like it's not like. I don't think Capewell and Piakura have that position locked. But, you know, Ricky's been injured. Ease him back in. Look, if he comes on and absolutely kills it, then you go, okay, yeah, maybe we do start him. But I mean, it'd be just tough. Like, Kate Wall's been outstanding. They beat the Roosters in a really good performance. They beat the Cowboys at home in a really good performance. Be very tough to go, all right, now Ricky's straight back in.
Isn't that exactly what you want for Jordan Ricky?
Oh, mate.
Mate,
He'll
this
kill
spot, you have to win this spot.
I guarantee Ricky plays probably the best footy of his career over the next few weeks. I guarantee it. The pressure that Kate Wall and Piacora will put on him will make him the best version of himself. And all he's got to do is not get frustrated or a bit down, and I guarantee you he starts playing some outstanding rugby league. So, yeah, Broncos really, really impressive. Talk about my boy Ezra Mam. Oh. If there's one player that reminds me of late 90s Broncos, it's Ezra Mam. He'll attack you from anywhere, whether it's defence, attack. Like, some of his hits in defence were outrageous. And just his attacking flair. Like, yeah, I've said it all year long. Sometimes I wish the Bronx would be a little bit more conservative, but look, it's working. It's working, so who am I? Who am I to say?
When you got a kid like him that's that talented, I think you got to let him play.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very... I don't think he's at the level that Milf was when he was at the Raiders, for example, but he's got that sort of element to him. The way that he moves and the way that he just pops up, and you just sort of give him a bit of a license to do his own thing.
Yeah, that's why he complements Reynolds so well, because they're so different. Another guy like Selwyn Cobbo, he throws like 2 silly offloads, and I'm like, stop it, Selwyn. Like, why are you doing that? But then he goes that intercept at the end, and you're like, oh, okay. Fair enough, bro. You know what I mean?
All is forgiven.
Yeah, and so in the game I get frustrated, but then I'm like, yeah, but then do you really want to rob Selwyn of that crazy moments that he has? I don't know if you do. So look, really, really good performance. And I just want to focus in on the forward pack. They just played outstanding. I thought also Tyson Smoothie definitely improved since that game a couple of weeks ago where he just looked a bit lost. Another guy I want to talk about, Titans fans, if you thought your front row was good now, Palacia. So when he signed, I was devo that he left, but I understand salary cap. I think he is going to be an absolutely phenomenal signing for the Titans.
Been impressive the last few weeks.
Just got rid of the drop balls, and I feel like there was a period there where he kind of felt a little bit on the outer, whereas I think now he feels like a part of the squad, and geez, he's a good boy to bring on. Big body, gets through a bunch of work, can hit in defence. I thought he's been outstanding. Another guy, Xavier Willison. Stats won't really show you, but if you keep a close eye on him, he does all the little things perfectly. Always concentrating in on the game, his body language, his body positioning, and that's something you don't usually associate with a guy that's like 6'5", like a genetic freak. Mate, things are looking good for the Broncos. They really are. Like, if Adam Reynolds can stay injury-free for at least another 2 years, geez, they're going to be up there.
It's going to be interesting this year. Obviously, the Broncos, for as successful as they are, I think they've played one finals game in the last 5 years or so. So,
absolutely.
I mean, that's for me the big difference between them and the Panthers right now is the bright lights, big game experience, where it's going to be interesting to see how Brisbane handle that.
Yep, for sure.
The try of Paddy Carrigan going back-to-back 2 weeks on the trot with a full head of steam was unreal. But mate, the man there was Billy Walters, who obviously still transitioning in this. He was a halfback all through juniors, is that right?
6, I think.
A 6, transitioning into this hooker role and killing it. But the way he got out of dummy half there and just completely drew in like the A defender, the marker was on the line, and just had Carrigan one-on-one with Scott Drinkwater, not a chance.
Not a chance, yeah.
Jeez, it was perfect from Walters.
Yeah, agreed. I thought Tony Staggs, another great game. Herbie Farnworth, always good. Yeah, so I think it's a really, really good, and they'll take so much confidence from this victory. It's just a matter of keeping their heads. They've still got little things they can tweak in their game, like for 67% completion rate and eight penalties. If they can just clean that out of the game.
And that's the thing, like, there's probably 12 teams that the Broncos can beat when they play like they did the other day. But if you play like you did the other day against Penrith, you'll find yourself
put to the sword.
Which is where Brisbane's at, realistically.
Yeah.
That's the team you want to.
Now, let's get on to the Cowboys. Problem is like I didn't watch that game and go, oh, Cowboys are like nowhere near Broncos level. Like they're not a top 8 footy side. But then they're playing to stay in the 8. Then Adam Reynolds is gone. They have all the field position. And I just don't know were Broncos just incredibly resilient on their line, or were Cowboys just lacking the creativity that they needed to get the points?
I think Cowboys were lacking quite a bit of creativity, personally. Tell you who I thought was good. Murray Tuilagi moving into the centres.
Mate, he is so bloody good. I've been guilty of underestimating Tuilagi.
Yeah, well, one person that hasn't underestimated is him consistently. You've always rated him very highly.
What's funny is I'm actually going to go against you boys here. Defensively, he was caught out so many times.
I only saw that one time.
There was more than one time.
Was there?
There was a couple of shockers, yeah. And I'm not even hypercritical of him because, to my knowledge, he's only ever played wing, maybe in coming up through the ranks. And I do think he's a tremendous footballer, and it was a one-off game against, of all teams, a red-hot Broncos side, but they missed Val Holmes defensively more than anything so much in this game. And it was just new combinations on the edge. There was 3 or 4 times that he got caught out quite poorly.
Yeah, I guess that's the interesting thing about stats is like it doesn't really show those moments. He had 7 tackles, only 1 miss.
His try assist for must have been to Felt with a really good catch and pass. That was one I saw and went, boom, what a transition to centre. But the defence takes a lot of time. And look, he's a winger and he's not going to be there for too long. But
I reckon I think he's shown a lot of promise at centre. I actually really liked him. I really liked him at centre. Yeah, okay, defensively, some reads may not have been great. You know, probably should have made that tackle on Katoni, but we have to remember this is Katoni Staggs. He's done that to the best in the business. I'd be patient. I'd be patient with him. If Hiku's going to go next year, I'd consider putting him on that other edge, just to, even in preseason, to see if he can sort those just reads out, which I think he actually will. I think he does have a future at centre.
He's played a handful of games at centre here and there across both comps.
Yeah.
Not many, but a few.
I really like him as a player. He takes some of the toughest carries and barely gets dominated. And I think that the defensive reads will get sorted in time. Val has some off nights defensively.
Most centres in the game do.
Yeah,
the best defensive centres in the game will have an off night where there's 2 poor reads and you just go, ooh, that was off. And that's what I'm not saying that he can't be a centre, not at all. I'm just off this one game, sample size I've seen.
Yep.
No.
Luciano Leilua, I thought he worked all day tirelessly. I think he's almost. What I love about Leilua is that you never probably expected him to turn into a toiler, and he's not necessarily a toiler in the fact that he's only can get through tough work. He's also got the big plays in him. But when you look at him this year, he has really put together some solid matches week in, week out, and they haven't really had all the highlights that we associate with him when he was at the Tigers. I like his development, Leilua. What did you boys think of the Cowboys?
They're such an interesting team to see what's going to happen over the next few weeks with them. I thought they were down and out and no hope 8 weeks ago. Then, even 3 weeks ago, I was sitting there going, could they shake this? Are they the team that everyone's sleeping on that could give it a real go? But in this game, as I've said a few times, I thought they were very poor.
What a wild world we live in where the Sharks might make the 8 and the Cowboys may not make the 8. I would have said there is no way that would happen. I thought the Sharks would drop out and Cowboys, and they still could. How crazy would it be if both dropped out?
How good's the NRL? After about 10 rounds, you're going, Cowboys probably done, Sharkies flying, Smokies for the premiership. Then you get to 2 weeks ago and you're going, Cowboys, they're back, title threat, Sharkies gone. Now we're saying, the Sharkies back, Cowboys are going to miss the 8. How good's footy?
Oh, mate, it's so bloody good. So good.
Just on that, the Sharks, they play the Titans this week, but then the 3 games to finish the year are all against teams in and around to make the finals. They got the Cowboys, which would be so important, then the Knights, then the Raiders. So that'll be a good couple of rounds for the
Raiders, round 27, Shark Park. That could be a big chance that's for the Sharkies to make the 8.
I've got to say, 27 rounds is too long.
Too long season.
Too long.
Jeez, it's a long year.
We should be getting in close to wrapping it up, I reckon. Because there's so many teams, like Roosters, Titans, Dolphins, Bulldogs, Dragons, Tigers. How do you stay engaged as a fan if that's your team? Anyway,
if you're the Melbourne Storm and you're waiting for Pappy to come back, you go and extend it to 30. But other than that, I agree, it is just too long.
And they want to have the right to be able to add 2 more without even asking the players whether they can or can't.
Isn't it crazy how much the impact? We've only added 1 week this year, or 2?
2.
Isn't it wild? Like, how long ago now does Origin feel? And we're still a month away from finals.
Yeah, we got like, so it's around 23 on the weekend.
Got 4 hours left. We've got
A month of rugby league left, and we're not. That's when, and then the next week is when we get into finals footy.
It's absurd.
Too long. The boys' bodies must just be fucking decimated right now.
Interesting to see, like, chatting to particularly the Origin related, but grand final players by end of season, and just getting their takes on it, going, see if they go, no, we felt it significantly longer in the impact of those 2 weeks, or, there's more. How many buys? There's 2 buys last year as well and 2 this year, so that doesn't change. No.
When you have a look at like the NFL, which I haven't quite compared to, like they've got an 18-week season. Not only is it obviously shorter, but every game means more. You cannot afford to drop. The urgency around it changes everything.
Yeah. Now, let's look at this ladder for the Cowboys. Sharkies, 28 points. Knights, 27. Rabbitohs, 26. Eels, 26. Cowboys, 26. Seagulls, 25. And Roosters are 24. Like, that is a wild rush into the end of the season. And, oh, my God, the Raiders, that win on the weekend, that's season-defining.
Add into that, Kempy, that the Raiders, of all the teams you just named, but I don't even know if you mentioned the Roosters there, but the Raiders have the worst for and against of all those sides. So while we've got that 2-point gap to the Sharks in 6th, if we go to level with anyone, we're probably dropping behind them.
Yeah. It's just so exciting, this who's going to make this 8.
Especially when teams coming 8th, 9th and 10th all have a bye to come still. Rabbitohs, Eels and Cowboys.
Fucking hell.
Do we think Newcastle are
Home
in
and
the
hose.
8? You can't, I personally think they will play finals footy this year, but they are only in 7th place.
Oh, I don't know yet. I just don't know because it's just been such a short sample size of the run that they're on.
Yeah. Even when you have a look at the for and against, like the Raiders, obviously yours is a complete another shit fight, minus 74. But Storm are on their for and against is 81, Cronulla's 80, Newcastle's 74, and South Sydney are 80. So it's literally going to come down to scores in games.
Fucking mental.
Knights have 3 home games in a row, and then play the Dragons in the last game.
I just get scared for the Knights that they're going to be like, we're in the 8, we're in the 8. And then it just explodes. I mean, look what happened to the Broncos last year. No one would have ever predicted that. Yeah. They just went bang, 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 lost, see you later.
Speaking of the 27 rounds, there was literally, I think it was 2 weeks ago, may have been 3, where there was that threat of there being a proper gap between 9th and 10th. Fortunately, it hasn't panned out that way and it's dead close. But if there was that gap, which we saw, was it last year or the year before, where there was a huge gap between 9th and 10th, or it might have been 8th and 9th?
Yep.
If we had that dead end of the season where the top 8 was pretty well sealed, at least there's a heap of competition for the 8.
Such a good point. Yeah. Could you imagine if 4 weeks ago it was just fucking see you later?
In.
That'd be so fun.
It could get interesting this week. Sharks are in 6th, they play the Titans. Knights in 7th, they play the Dogs. Rabbits play the Dragons. So 3 teams that are heavy favourites there in 6th, 7th and 8th could start to put a bit of a gap there.
Now, regardless of how they end the season, is it a failure for the Cowboys and the Sharkies? Because the highest they probably can finish is 7th. I know Sharkies could maybe go a little bit higher, but let's just say 7th and 8th. Is it a failure?
God, a failure seems harsh.
It seems harsh, doesn't it? But we're talking like 2 teams we thought premiership
I
threats.
think if you miss the 8, definitely a failure, without a doubt.
Well, they've gone backwards. I would say it's definitely a failure. Not a
Definitely
doubt in my mind. Not a doubt in my mind it's a failure.
If they miss the 8, it's 100%
But have they gotten that worse as a footy side? Or have teams just gotten much
They
better?
were firing last
They
year.
were much better last year, I reckon.
Well, Sharks didn't even beat an 8. They beat by maybe 1 top 8 side last year.
They still I know that's not great, but they still finished 2nd on the ladder. That's pretty hectic.
Oh, I'm not I think failure is a strong word, and failure I would say is their team is not as good as it was last year by a substantial margin. Are they, or are just their team, other teams playing way better footy? I don't know. I'm technically yes for sure failure. They're not as high as before, but it seems harsh. Out of the 8, definitely failure. But if let's say the Sharkies finish, because the Sharkies can still finish bloody 4th. Would that be a failure?
4th wouldn't be. But that also means that they finish the season really well. So it's very different what we're looking at now. If they come home and win 3 of the next 4 whatever and make the 4, then sure, that's fine.
But how crazy is it that 2 games are going to differentiate between
Yeah,
a failure and successful
That's what we're
season.
dealing with, boys. That's what we're dealing with.
But anything outside the 8 for both those sides, definitely a failure. Rabbitohs, I think, regardless. Now, look, if they go on a run to win it, obviously not a failure. But if they, get bumped even prelim, I think it's a down year for them. I think they haven't put themselves in a good position to do anything special. Yeah, ironically, it's actually, if they do finish 8th, it's really special if they go on to win the comp. It's like the most special thing ever because they're breaking the. But yeah, geez, they haven't really kicked on the way I thought they would.
If a team's ever going to win a comp from 8,
it's Rabbitohs.
It's the Rabbitohs.
The one team though, Knights, I think regardless of how they finish the season, I wouldn't call it a failure.
They've come on leaps and bounds.
They have come so far,
Yeah.
so far. They could lose every game.
Yeah.
They won't, but they could, and I would still say they've made heaps of progress compared to last year.
Yeah, and I think the Knights, especially over the last 10 weeks, have worked out who they are,
Yeah, for sure.
which was a big problem for a long time.
Absolutely. There's a DNA in this side that they're going to turn up and be gritty as anything. Anyway, yeah, Cowboys, not much really to talk about, so we'll get on to the next game. Don't forget, guys, grab a case of Bloke beer from your local. Also, make sure to watch Rugby League on 9 Now. Stream live NRL games for free on 9 Now. Thursday night, we have Manly versus Panthers. Friday night, we have Broncos versus Eels. I think Broncos versus Eels is going to be an outstanding game. And Sunday, Arvo, we have Knights versus Bulldogs. The biggest games and the best commentary for free. Get on and stream it now, anywhere, anytime. Now, let's get to the next game. Knights defeat the Dolphins 30-28. This was almost like an out-grit each other. Just two teams that, maybe they could have played a little bit better, but they just have fought for absolutely everything. Knights especially, when you look at, they had 10 in the bin with Fitzgibbon. They only had 47% of the ball. They committed 11 errors to the Dolphins 7, and they somehow got the win.
I think this is one of the better wins for the Newcastle Knights. I know the scoreline's 30-28, but as you said, Fitzgibbon got sin-binned, and in the same tackle, Adam Elliott was forced to leave the field. It was a huge turning point in this game. And you look at that next 10-minute period, Osako scores in the 23rd, 26th, and 31st minute. The old Newcastle wouldn't have got themselves back into
They go to water.
So 3 tries in 10 minutes it was it?
Yep.
Yeah, as soon as Adam Elliott left the field and Fitzgibbon was sin-binned. So for Newcastle to fight their way back into this.
In Perth,
and Tafade scored first try after half-time too. So for them to fight their way back into this, I thought it really said a lot about this Newcastle side and where they're at, because they would have folded the deck chair a few weeks ago.
What was the Fitzy sin bin again? How did it unfold?
hip drop.
Hip drop.
But it was like, I don't know. I know you have to be really harsh on hip drops, but I felt like it was all in one motion. Like, I just think that sometimes the video ref and refs, they're not really appreciating these things happen so quickly, and we all watch it in slow-mo and just go, oh, yeah, you could have. Let's watch it in normal motion and tell me what you think.
Was that the one like 10 metres out from the try line, the Dolphins try line, or am I thinking of another game?
It was when Adam Elliott came up with blood all over him.
Yeah, okay.
On about halfway.
Yeah.
What did you think about it, Guru? Simbin?
No, I didn't think it was sin-bin, no. But
These things happen so quick.
I hate to bring it up, but if you go and look at, there was a tackle that got tackle of the week last week.
Oh, I know.
It was a hip drop. It was a one-on-one hip drop.
And the image is literally Api Coruscant flying in the air behind the guy while holding onto his hips.
Bizarre. Jack Jabellin gets 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Appy got tackle of the week.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, though, sorry to go back to it, but the 3 tries in 10 minutes for a questionable sin bin, maybe it wasn't, whatever, but that 10-minute with 3 tries scored, that could have knocked the Knights out of finals contention. I know it probably sounds a bit dramatic, but 3 tries in 10
minutes.
minutes.
100% it could have. I don't think it's dramatic at all.
And that's where I'm just like, again, I don't want to get into the conversation deep, but if it was, all right, they score a try after that, then he's back on the field. I just think that solves that problem. But let's not get into it. Let's go to the footy.
Yeah, I love the fight that the Knights showed, and I'm just a fan. I'm a fan of the Knights. And look, I hate to... Look, I know the newie fans don't like this, but let's go back to the start of the year. Remember when you guys felt that I was too harsh on the Knights? Who were they playing? You don't remember?
Oh, of course I don't fucking remember.
So they were playing the Dolphins.
Right, okay.
The last 10 minutes, what happened? The Dolphins went completely to water.
Watched a lot of footy this year.
So have I. The Dolphins went completely to water, and they ended up winning by can you get the result up again? And Knights had a few injuries here or there. And so I just think if you ever need an example of how far this team has come, go watch that Dolphins game then and watch it now. and look at the difference in this gritty, tough side. And, obviously, Ponga's back at fullback, and you could look at the fact that, they may have got injured players that are back in, but they're doing this without Brayley. They're doing without Elliott gets taken off, Fitzgibbons gets taken off. They had things to overcome in this game.
Already missing Dan Saifidi, and then Jacob Saifidi got injured in this game too.
So in round 3, Knights were beating Dolphins 20-18 or something with about 25 minutes to go, and then the Dolphins scored 4 tries and won by 16 points.
And that's where I look at this side, and when back then I was like, this side is better than this. It's way better than this. They can show fight and hang in there, and look how far they've come as a side. Where you could argue even more went against them. Both Saifidi brothers didn't play the whole game. Definitely one of them didn't play the whole game, but both of them. Adam Elliott gone, Fitzgibbon off for the field. They had things go against them. Brayley not playing. I just think that this club has come so far in the last few months, and I really, really hope they keep this trajectory so Adam O'Brien can continue building this team.
I thought Adam Elliott's game on the weekend was probably his best game for Newcastle. I thought I spoke a lot in the preseason about how excited I was about Elliott sort of playing that ball playing 13. The more I watch him now, the more I just think, just run.
Yeah, just run hard and straight.
Run hard and cause havoc.
Yeah. What I like, though, at least they're sticking with a player at that 13 position. They're not chopping and changing it all the time, so they're getting the spine together to play well.
He's an in-between of this 2023 smaller lock stereotype and the older sort of fashion big bopper like the Storm would be running a Josh King or someone. He's sort of in between. He's a big boy ad, but he's still got pretty nimble footwork laid to the line, so he'll often get a quick play of the ball, and then on top of it, he's got the ball playing ability as well. So he's sort of in between those two.
And I thought it was interesting against you guys last week. They started fast and scored, and then there was about a 10-minute period, about the 20th to 30th minute, where he threw 2 or 3 wayward passes, and it got Canberra back into the game. This week, you could tell he was just told, put it under the wing,
go. Now I want to speak about Jackson Hastings. Probably the most underappreciated half in the game right now, in my opinion. I think that this club without Hastings at it is not even a chance of being in the finals footy. I think that there are so many clubs out there that could have used a guy like Hastings, and he's not getting the headlines, he's not getting the raps, but it's no coincidence that ever since he's almost been given the keys to the castle and fully been backed by the Knights, they've been on a winning streak.
For me, if it wasn't for Reece Walsh, he's signing at the year.
He'd be up there, for sure. Absolutely. I'm trying to think. Mate, so many bloody signings.
I think it has to be Reece Walsh, just because the unbelievable season he's had, the impact he's had on Brisbane, Origin, everything. But I think the way that Jackson has turned this team around, I would be going him for sure.
And he doesn't get anywhere near the raps that he deserves. But to take this team from mid-year, basically, no way they make the 8-2. They're on, a 5-game winning streak? A 5-game winning streak. They've beaten Storm. They've beaten some top-tier sides as well, so it's not just, playing the bottom sides.
They went Bulldogs, Tigers, Storm, Canberra, Dolphins. And they're going for their 6th win in a row this week, and last year they won 6 games for the whole year.
Far out.
And they've got the Doggies this week in Newcastle, I think it is.
Yeah.
And they've beaten some good sides. They lost to Brisbane by 4. They lost to Penrith by 1. They lost to the Warriors by 2. They played Penrith twice. They lost by 1 and 8.
Far out. So they're really like the dark horses almost of the 8. Look, I don't think they're a premiership threat yet. But when you actually look at their resume compared to some other resumes, you go, well, hang on a sec. They've gotten closer than nearly anyone to Penrith and Broncos. Now you could say Broncos have had some games where they've struggled or whatever, but there's other teams in the 8 that haven't gotten close to these top tier sides the way the Knights have. And they're a better side than they were 6-7 weeks ago.
As Tim just said, they've got Canterbury this week. They finished with the Dragons. In between that, they've got Souths and Cronulla. Both at Newcastle, both Sunday afternoon games. If they were to win both of those, they'll have a home final week 1.
Could you imagine?
Because Souths and Cronulla are the 2 teams in front of them as well, around their mark.
Yeah.
True.
Just had a quick look. They've only lost by more than 8 points this year 3 times.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's so good to see. So good to hear and see.
Mate, with their run home, with their for and against, they could push for a top 4 finish. They genuinely
Could you
could.
imagine?
And you know what? Their for and against doesn't even matter because they've got that draw in there. So they're on 27 points. So they're only... Melbourne's on 30. Knights' run home is sensational.
Yeah.
If they were to win all those games, they will give fourth a real crack.
That fourth spot's wide open still.
Yeah, heaps wide open.
Mate, that'd be so good. I'd be right in the Knights' home. I'm such a fan watching them too. They're a good team to watch.
Yeah.
Like KP at the back, exciting as anything.
They're great to watch.
Yeah, like they are a great team to watch. But yeah,
I love the combination. He's leaving next year, but of Lockie Fitzgibbon and Kalen Ponga. It all starts with the bloke you just spoke about, and that's Jackson Hastings. He's really good because he plays quite deep into the line at getting his back row, isolating the half. Fitzy gets on his half one-on-one so often, and KP just hovers around because he's sweeping. Instead of just flying out the back, you'll see it go short to him, and he just follows through. He gets an offload off him so often, and they just tear. I scored a try for it on the weekend. It's a bit like what Kafusi and Billy Slater used to do. They'd play flat to him, Billy'd get off his hip and just get the ball out the back. It's a lovely combination. Gee, they're doing some damage off it.
mate. What about Hastings' like career resurgence? You know, coming back to the NRL and fuck, I tell you what, after what he's done this year, and if they, let's say in some crazy world where they do make the top four, it's almost like ask your price within reason. He goes from a guy that's like, oh yeah, you know, we might sign him and, you know, give him a crack to, he's a guy that can literally take you out of the 8 into the 8. That's how steady of a hand he is at number 7. Like, look at the Raiders. Raiders could use a guy like Hastings massively. Tigers, I know it's funny to say. I mean,
well, like, without going back to that, to think they finished last year playing him at 13,
it's
it
insane.
is one of the dumbest things you will see. They're
Craziness.
currently playing two halves that they already know aren't going to be there next year.
Yeah. Worse, some of the like
Jock Madden just went and played really well for Brisbane as well.
what's bizarre as well for a club that roster management was so good. Look at their forward pack. It's almost like a different team made the decisions to get rid of all the halves that they've got. Anyway, we'll get to Tigers. Yeah, so I think Hastings being outstanding. I think Dom Young's going to be a big loss for them. I think they're going to really struggle to replace what he does offer them. Because, you know, yeah, sometimes he can have defensive reads and some errors, but geez, he blows games open sometimes with some incredible plays.
Mate, the bloke inside him, Gagai, Jesus Christ. From a Supercoach perspective, can be like, he hasn't scored a try in about 8 weeks, but mate, the stuff he is doing is unbelievable. You go and have a look at his stats over the last 12 weeks. He's had one game where he's had less than 5 tackle breaks. He's running for 160 plus metres just about every single week. He is on another planet at the moment, Gagai, to the point that I sat there on the weekend and, you know, I've praised Billy Slater for not picking him in Origin because the guys came in and did such a good job. But at the same time, I was like, there's the potential that it still could have been the wrong decision. Simply because of how good Gagai is going.
Yeah. Or at the very least, Gagai could have done a
He could have
similar
been
jump.
more dangerous,
Yeah,
potentially.
more,
Like,
yeah.
you can't rule that out with how he's playing his footy. And we always want to talk about this left edge for the Newcastle Knights and they're humming. But, mate, just keep an eye on Gagai. He is unbelievable at the moment.
Yeah. I love Gagai. I love him as a player, and I love the fact that even though he's, you know, 32 or whatever, or 30, around that age, he just keeps ripping and tearing every game. Doesn't matter, you know, if he's getting the applause for it or the hype for it, he just rips in every game.
We have Campy West super positive on this podcast, and sometimes to our detriment. Like we cop a bit of stick at times for being too positive to players and not calling them out. So it is important to be a little bit balanced at times. And unfortunately, I gave him enormous raps 2 weeks ago. But Greggy Marju had a stinker this weekend. He did. He was like that early on. It was just like it hasn't come undone, but it felt like all the hard work he's done this year had come undone defensively and contesting high balls and that. But mate, it's 1 week and he's made a tremendous turnaround. So hopefully it's just a little blip on the radar of what's been a great year. But geez, they found him out early. In that
And he used to do that every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Now he's doing it every
I'll cop
10
one
at the moment. I'm more than happy to wear that.
It could be
for
the
what
first
Greg's
time this
done
season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll cop one of them every bloody 6 or 7 weeks with Greg because he's so bloody good for him.
Yeah.
So good for him.
You could tell, I think it was the first one he conceded where he slipped over. Like, he was out of position.
Yeah.
But I reckon if he doesn't slip over, he probably gets there. You can tell when he slipped after that, he was in his own head, the poor bugger.
He's done enough this season to to bank a couple of those up before we started asking questions. So he's all good for a while.
Yeah, halftime couldn't come quick enough for Greg. Just
Poor fella. Just it's one of those games where like nothing's going right.
Nothing's going
There's
right,
nothing going right. To the Dolphins, gutsy, really, really gutsy. Oh, it's not really much to talk about. Are they as bad as some people were saying they're going to be? I don't think they're even in the same universe as some people thought. I think that they, no matter what game, essentially every game they're playing in, they're making it a contest, and I think it bodes really well for the future of the club. I actually think that the Dolphins will progress quicker than a lot of other clubs in this bottom 8 because I think that they've got an incredible foundation laid with, almost the most resources in the comp when it comes to finances. I'm excited for the Dolphins over the coming years, especially with the recruits. Like, imagine this side with Flegler, Averillo, and Farmworth in it. It's going to be a different beast.
The best thing for me about the Dolphins at this early stage is that they don't beat themselves. They never do.
Yeah,
they just hang in every single game, and it's going to take them so far as a club.
Yeah. Imagine Jerry Marshall-King with another full preseason. Imagine Asako coming back and playing like this. Like, they haven't even settled. Like, this team's halves pairing has been chopped and changed all year long, and they still have managed to stay in the fight.
And the fullback.
Yeah, and the fullback.
I'm actually warming a little bit to Cody at fullback, Hammer at centre.
Okay.
Like, not convinced on it yet, but I think Cody's been unreal this season, given the opportunity.
And also in the front line, he just struggles too much.
I much prefer him. Yeah, I think he's possibly too small to defend in the front line week in, week out at the NRL, but at fullback, that's sort of lesser of an issue. He's lethal in attack. Hammer's also tremendous defensively at centre. Now, same thing I said a few weeks ago, but it is important that if they do stick with this, that they make sure Hammer's getting the involvement because he's the key to their attack, well, not the key to their attack, but one of their strike weapons. So need to get him involved, get him roaming, but what do you boys think? Because Cody's been great.
Yeah, I think he's been great as well. I do think that, next year you're probably going to go Averillo Flegler in the centres. Yeah. Flegler. Averillo Farmworth in the centres. I think Tafade probably needs another preseason under his belt and a few more games maybe in... he has these incredible big moments, no denying that.
What do we think they tested it very briefly, but just coming on as a bench forward through the middle.
I don't mind
pretty devastating, bit of footwork there.
If he got his fitness up, for sure.
Yeah.
If he got his fitness up, I wouldn't mind that. I do think out on the edges sometimes at the moment, just laterally he gets found out a little bit with his speed off the mark of some centres. But he has an incredible future in the game. There's no denying that. It's just about, he's only been in the game for a couple of years. Give him another couple of pre-seasons, he's going to be an absolute problem. But I do think he's still just a little bit away from where you would hope him to be. Not surprising because it's so short, but I think he's still got plenty more potential left in him.
Good signs.
Absolutely good signs. But yeah, really good signs for the Dolphins. I can't wait to see him next year. Let's get on to the next game. Rabbitohs versus the Sharks. Rabbitohs win 26-16. Easily the most shocking performance of the weekend in regards to being like shocked at the Sharks coming out and like defending their asses off and almost looking like a completely different side. They've finally broken their duck and they got the win. Are they back? I'm not sure, but I will say, even though they got completely dominated by the Panthers, they did not stop trying last week against the Panthers. They defended their asses off. They gave everything they could, and I think they got the rewards for it this week, and now they know exactly what is required of them to stay in the top 8. So I still need to see another couple of games, and their run home is an absolute... It's tough. It's pretty tough. Pretty sure I know it's tough. So they might just hang in there, maybe. I don't know. But they've given themselves a chance. Really good win for the Sharkies.
Yeah, good turnaround. Win that I didn't see coming. The only thing that gave me hope was that, and we'll talk about South Sydney soon, but just missing a couple of key middles. And it went from bad to worse, unfortunately, for South. But, even if Cronulla win, I didn't expect them to do it in the fashion that they did. Like, once again, I think 26-16 compliments South Sydney. I thought Cronulla were just miles the better side for the vast majority of that game.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to the Rabbitohs, but my biggest concern is that when the game was on the line, all of a sudden they show what they could do. And you're like, why isn't that from minute one? Like, everyone's tempo increased. And it's like, so you can do it. We know you can do it, but like, why isn't that attitude being brought into minute one?
Yeah, the Sharkies, who had their massive defensive issues this season, kept, on their day, one of the best attacking teams, if not the, got to give it to Penrith, but best attacking side in the competition. We haven't seen it for a while. Scoreless for 61 minutes.
Yeah.
Like that is it's a remarkable turnaround from them.
Absolutely.
And then on the flip side, as you were sort of getting to, Kempy, but then they come out, the Bunnies, and remind you that, all right, 3 tries in 11 minutes and a couple of the line breaks were devastating. The line break off the kickoff, Tallis Duncan, who was tremendous. Two sides to, geez, it's hard to get a read on them, isn't it?
Well, I think wasn't it like 60 minutes where they had like no line breaks or a one line break, and then they just went bang, 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 4 or 5 line breaks. We'll talk about Sharkies first. Like, what's so good for them about this performance is, like, I'm not sure if they're back, but it shows them, okay, we have it in us. Like, we have this in us. Whereas I think that there might have been, well, I personally, was a lot of questions was like, do they even have it in them? Like, are they even a side that can put together a really good defensive performance against a top-tier side? Now, to be fair, Rabbitohs' completion rate and their penalties was outrageously poor, but they defended their absolute asses off. And so maybe this is all they need to go, you know what? We do have it in us and we can get the job done when we need to. And it could put them in good stead to, at the very least, stay in the 8.
I hope so. I really do.
I would hate for them to fall out.
Yeah,
I really
it'd be
would.
awful. Yeah.
But last week, I would have been like, they're absolutely not staying in. Now I'm like, ooh, I don't know.
Because, like, say what you will and whatever, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of people out there anti-Cronulla, but, like, you can't say they're not entertaining to watch play the footy. They're great to watch. So I think it's a better final series if Cronulla are at their best. And, as I think it was Billy Slater said last week, even if that means you win 28-26, just have that confidence back.
Yeah. Yep.
But they showed against a full throttle South Sydney, obviously missing a few forwards, but you still got your Walkers, your Latrells, Campbell Grahams, Johnson, like star-studded side still, attacking-wise. They held them out for 60 minutes.
And so intriguing. You look at what's changed. The Sharkies' left edge has been their downfall in defence all season and cost them so many results. 2 weeks ago, they went to the tried and tested, the veteran, Wade Graham. 2 80-minute games there. Against Penrith, they conceded 1 try down their left edge where Graham snuck in there.
I actually think that was even Talakai's bad read as well.
Yeah. And then that was against Penrith, best side in the competition. This week against the Bunnies, one of the best attacking sides in the competition, they didn't concede a try down their edge. Yeah. Wade Graham is the thing that's changed there. And there's a few missed tackles, but Wade Graham's always had, we speak on because he flies out of line, tries to put shots on. That can be a little bit misleading, that stat, but in a 2-week sample size, the old boys come in and that side defensively has changed dramatically.
Yeah.
I hope it maintains, but if it can, that makes them a very different side, Cronulla.
Well, and it also changes, I guess, Wade Graham's career because
Definitely
you go, mate, we need to re-sign this guy because he's defensively shores everything up for us. And we speak about it on the podcast nearly every week, but a lot of people look at the 7, the centre and the winger and go, oh, those edges, they're making all these decisions. It all starts with your 4. Your 4-man is the guy that dictates how good your edge is because he's the one constantly communicating, saying, I'm on the 7 or I'm on the wide running forward, you're on him, and then obviously communication back. And so maybe it is Wade Graham's experience that's going to shore the edge up that they need. And maybe they don't need to go into the market just yet. Now, it's small sample size, but...
Fascinating final month. If that side locks down and defensively is good, it'll change a few things.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if it locks up and becomes good, all of a sudden Talakai can become one of the better centres in the game because, you look at his attacking stats, they're arguably the best attacking stats in the NRL right now for a centre. If you can shore up the defence with an experienced man inside him that says here, here, here. And also, we've got to give credit to Trindle as well. Because Trindle's on that side, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah. And so, maybe Trindle's locking up that side for him and making it a little bit easier.
Yep.
They had some wobbles against Manly, but there was a rookie 4 there, and also it was Trindle's first start in a very long time. So, I don't know, maybe Fitzy has somehow clawed his, it's almost like a ship is turning and just to get it to turn back, and who knows, maybe he has.
Interesting this weekend against Gold Coast Titans because, if he has sort of turned it, Titans are a good side to test themselves against.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the way they're playing.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun game, won't it?
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
It's so good to watch. So good to watch.
But it would be great to see Fitzy and the Sharks not let it be a fun game.
Yeah. Just dominate.
Turn
Yes.
into a grind.
Yeah.
I thought Katoa was outstanding on the edge there. That footwork on Trell, just like his right foot has always been incredible, Katoa's. And also, he's always been a really good winger. He never really, Mulatalo and Katoa never really get the raps that they deserve, but they genuinely impact games pretty regularly, especially, like, I think Mulatalo, his profile is a little bit bigger, but Katoa, you don't really hear about him that much, but he's a bloody good winger.
I think Mulatalo would be the same as Katoa if he didn't have the Origin fiasco, though. I think that's what put him on the radar for a lot of people.
That's fair. And maybe playing for the Kiwis as well now. Yeah. But yeah, Katoa has always been a great winger coming out of his own end. Decent under the high ball, incredible footwork. Look, great. Obviously, Trindle got 2 tries. Like, the good signs for the Cronulla Sharks are if Trindle does become their guy at 6, he's young. So you've got this 6 and 7, at least for the next 3 to 4 years, are going to be playing together. Connor Tracy has been admirable at the back there. I thought it was a great performance. Jesse Ramian, I thought, was outstanding. Just like little things like crabbing across the field the way he does, sometimes it can be terrible for your team because you're like, mate, just get to a spot on the field. But if you do it in the right way, like Jesse does, it just creates carnage in the defensive line where they're all out of position.
Yeah.
Who else stood out for you guys in regard to the Sharkies?
Just thought it was a good all-round performance by them, mate. As I said, I didn't see them winning in that fashion, so I thought it was very, as you said, what Wade Graham as well. Like, I thought 2 weeks ago when the young bloke Jesse Colquhoun came in there, I sort of thought, okay, I reckon he'll stay there. He then got suspended, so that's given Wade his opportunity now. And as always with the Sharkies, they have got so much depth there, so if they can just start to steady this ship and keep that form, imagine if the Sharks go from a team that we thought was no hope to play finals footy to a team you don't want to play finals footy, which they could do in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, because their attack is literally the best in the comp.
You don't want,
points
they're humming, you don't want to deal with them.
Yeah. So great win for the Sharkies. Really love to see it. Now onto South. Really, really poor. Really surprised that this is what they dished up. And, if you listen to the podcast last week, we alluded to the fact that they didn't look anywhere near what they should look against the Tigers. And you'd almost rather them not score those 3 tries in, 10 minutes or 11 minutes or whatever, because then you go, look, off night in Perth. But when they go and do that, you go, boys, where was this intensity from the start? Like, you're playing to stay in the 8. Look, if there's one team in the comp that 1 week can turn it on and then they just go on this crazy run, it is literally the Rabbitohs. But by God, they got to get it sorted ASAP.
I'm a little bit worried about South Sydney. We've spoken about it for weeks. When they're missing one of Totola or Harmsele, they're a different footy side. They're now missing both of them, Tom Burgess and potentially Jai Arrow. So, when you guys are listening to this, hopefully you'll have Team List Tuesday out by then. But, Matty, what do you reckon? Like, they could start with Havili and Mawali next week.
Yeah, they probably will. I think Arrow, they're saying that they're pretty happy that he will probably play, but we're not sure. Burgess has accepted his plea, so he's definitely out. So either Saluka Fafita or Shaq Mitchell come into the bench, and then, one of those is will start. I assume Jai would start. But yeah, it's looking very thin.
Big few weeks for Cam Murray.
He's going to be bloody working his dick off.
Yeah, we were sitting... We're sitting here after Magic Weekend, and we're telling the story of the Bunnies pumping the Melbourne Storm and Matty carrying on upstairs Caxton of how he was telling everyone we can't be beaten. Who's going to beat us? He just kept asking who's going to beat us. Since that night, when they led the competition, they've now dropped to 8th and are on equal points with the Cowboys in 10th. So in Matty's defence, he pointed that out to me on the weekend.
So Matty's cursed the Rabbitohs.
Matty, well, yeah, it is what it is.
Got anything to say, mate?
I'm pretty sure since that time, only the Tigers have lost more games than South. South are 3 from 10 in the last 10 weeks. It's it's not great.
3 from 10.
Jesus.
Good God.
And it's funny, you said that South wanted to, where was that last 20 minutes in the first 60? That's the 3rd time that's happened this year. They nearly chased down the Dragons. They nearly chased down the Bulldogs. It's a weird one.
Yeah, even Big Trelly Mitt, he actually still got through a decent amount of work, which you love to see. But he didn't look happy like he did the week before. Wasn't a smiling Latrell. Like the Rabbitohs, whenever you watch them, they always look happy. They always look like they're enjoying their footy. They love being around each other. I just reckon they don't look as happy-go-lucky. And look, they've won only 3 games in 10, so fair. So hopefully they can turn it around, because this would be a travesty if they missed the 8.
Yeah, the other thing was too, like, mate, that turf out there was so good. It was so fast. That was so suited to South Sydney to play their footy. Like, when I watched, obviously, KP running around, and I thought, oh, my God, South Sydney are going to get out there and be so excited for this game. And they were just the complete opposite.
Yeah. Yeah, as I said, the good thing is you've still got Trell running 15 times, 124 metres, 6 tackle breaks. So, he's still engaged. And to be honest, it's going to take him to be able to turn this around, because he's the only superstar, in my opinion, that has the ability to create, like, obviously Cody Walker can create magic, but Latrell Mitchell, I think he's been solid the last 2 games. So I'm not saying he's played poorly. I actually reckon he's being let down by other players. But he's the guy that's going to have to find a way to get everyone else up on his energy and his level.
We didn't mention him, but Cam McInnes a bit lazy this week, only 43 tackles.
Mate, do extra fitness
Imagine
during the
making
week.
43 tackles, and that's almost half the defensive work he did the week before.
Wild. So, yeah, I believe Latrell Mitch can. I'm still backing the Rabbitohs to make the 8. I reckon Trelly Mitt will do something special.
Matty, would you consider? It's probably a wild idea, but considering all your middles out, do you consider moving Coleman Tungy into the middle?
Well, he's played a couple of games there this year. I think he played the first Melbourne game, and he maybe shifted there another game. If Arrow's out, I guess you have to, because, as you said, I don't know what the go with Sele is either, but you're right. You got Totola, you got Sele, Burgess is suspended, possibly Arrow.
I don't think Totola or Sele is going to be named tomorrow. Is my understanding.
There you go. Yeah, it's definitely consideration, for sure.
What about Cam Murray? Bloody 119 runs, 172 metres, 3 tackle breaks, 47 tackles. Like, just worked his ass off, absolute ass off. So hopefully they can turn it around. If anyone can do it, it's a Latrell Mitchell-led Rabbitohs. And as I said, the positive is you've still got your number one player, arguably the number one player in the game, Latrell Mitchell, engaged in the game, running a lot, the ball a lot. It won't take much for him to be able to spark something special at the Rabbitohs.
Tell you who I am excited to see hopefully get a few extra minutes with all these forwards out is young Tallis Duncan. Looks right, doesn't he?
Oh, he looks great.
That late line break he went off the kick-off was absurd. He's got some go about him.
And he's just ticker. Like, he doesn't look that big, but he just seems strong in contact.
A few little Cam Murray vibes about him.
Yeah, I agree.
Lock, he's good.
I agree.
You've been shouting for a while.
I think I've seen, 2 forwards make breaks off kickoffs this year, and they've both been Tallis Duncan.
He must be just, like, slippery kind of to tackle, because, like, he's not huge or anything.
But even like when they're chasing points and stuff, like in those 2 games where he makes those breaks off the kickoff, at his age and his experience, like, fuck, if I was in that position and they gave it to me, I'd just go, just get it to the other guys.
Yeah.
He just goes, no, I'll just take it 70
I'll do
myself. Yeah.
So hopefully Rabbitohs can turn around, but not looking good at the moment. Now let's get to Eels Dragons. Eels defeat the Dragons 26-20. Look, a win's a win for the Eels, but definitely nowhere near where I would hope they would be. I do think they looked like such a better side with Dylan Brown in it. Oh my God, geez, he played well. So they needed to win. They got the job done. Move on to next week. Just somehow keep in the fight, so that when they get all their boys back, maybe they have a bit of punch and can go all the way, or at least make the 8. I actually was more impressed with the Dragons this game, if I'm being honest. I thought they looked outstanding for about 60 minutes.
Mate, I thought 10 minutes into this game, Parramatta were going to win by 60.
Yeah.
They looked red hot when that game started. Dill Brown looked amazing, and the game just got flipped completely on its head, and I agree with him. I don't think Parramatta were lucky to get away with the win here.
Dragons looked great.
Looked unreal.
Like, they looked...
They're at $7 this week against South Sydney. I can't believe it.
Yeah, that's so much value.
Huge value.
It's the way they're playing anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll get into it. Eels, good to see Dylan Brown back playing rugby league, and he looks like he does look like he feels like he owes the players and the club and the fans with everything that has happened. So it's he's hopefully learned his lesson, but I was very happy for him to see him back on the rugby league field and bad situation, but hopefully everyone's all good from it and he can learn from it because he looked happy on the rugby league field and that's where he belongs.
He's just a natural, isn't he?
Yeah.
Some of the especially some of the defensive players, mate. Ravalawa scored 4 tries. I thought he was unlucky not to score 6.
Yeah, mate. And you just forgot how much he impacts that side at such a young age. Like he is so important to them, and it's the defense as well as the attack, and just the extra oomph he offers them. So it's not all just focused on Mitchell Moses. Like they can get the ball to Dylan Brown, and he'll be able to create something. I thought he was really good. It's hard, like Junior Bolo, obviously really good. Junior Bolo. I thought it was great. Ryan Madison, he played 80 minutes.
Played 80. He started on the left edge, I believe. I think he spent time on the right edge, end at middle. When he was in the phase in the middle, he set up that
crazy
try that got them back into it with Junior Bolo. They're outstanding. Like, not just playing on one edge, not just in the middle, but both edges. And if you need him at 5'8", he'll do that too.
Mate, I reckon put him in the middle. Get him starting with Junior. I really do.
Yeah, what? They are so blessed for ball playing forwards.
Yeah.
Because him and Hopgood are pretty similar in a lot of ways, and they're both these great link men as 13s and great ball runners. They've got a million people who can do it.
It's just where Parramatta can get themselves in trouble, though, when they're trying to ball play too much. That's where, as we spoke pre-show, RCG is so important to this side because he is just the...
Yeah, but I would just be giving Madison run in twos all the time with Junior, pick your moments, but don't be stupid. And I just think that, like, at the moment, with the Eels, it's almost relying too much on Junior just to take that fucking tough carry with no one supporting him.
Almost like take the Warriors approach and what AFB and Tohu are doing so well this season.
And Paddy and Payne Haas at the Broncos.
Yeah, Matto, take Bolo to the line and just that late little tip on one-on-one with him. It sounds almost too simple, but like they're good enough to do it. Gee, they'll do some damage.
Well, who else is doing that with Junior? You know, who's like what makes Payne Haas and Paddy and obviously Tohu and Aden so good is like they create space for each other.
They work in pairs.
Yeah, they work in pairs, and I'm not really seeing. And look, when RCG's back, they work in pairs.
Yeah.
You can see they're working in pairs. But at the moment, it doesn't seem. I believe put Madison in the middle. Just get him getting through as much work as possible. Say to him, mate, just don't pass all the time. If you're going to do it, just do it early before the line when Junior can get a bit of extra space. Because I need you. The Eels need him on the field for 80 minutes. So whether you start him in the middle and then move him to an edge or whatever it is, but yeah, I think that it's really important here. So it's good to see him play 80, and you know how ironic that it was his pass that got them back into the game.
Peach of a pass too.
Oh, great
Face ball
pass.
to him.
Yeah, great pass. What about Bryce Cartwright doing only what Bryce Cartwright can do? But like the first 20 minutes was like, holy shit, is this the best back row on the comp? And then he got a bit too trigger happy and started offloading, and you're like, whoa, rein it in, Bruss, rein it in.
He'd earned that right to get trigger happy as well.
Oh, he was outstanding in that first bit.
Steamrolled poor old Jacob Little.
Mate, I would never in a million years think that he would be this good at this stage of his career. And yet, credit to Brad Arthur, credit to Cartwright that they've hung in there, and he's playing great footy.
Yeah, I want to double down on emphasis to the coach. Because he doesn't get enough credit for the stuff he does. Never look in the NRL at the moment. The two guys that are leading offloads for the season, Jermaine Hopgood, 99, Bryce Cartwright, 46.
Hopgood,
the next best
99.
is Payne Haas on 39. So Parramatta's got...
Did you say Hopgood 99?
49. Oh. I might have said 99. Apologies if I did.
I was like, holy shit.
I'd back him to do it. Hopgood, 49, Bryce Cartwright, 46, which is insane.
Junior Paulo's going to be in there somewhere.
Well, he's in the top 10. They've got four of the top offloaders in the top 10. They've got Hopgood, Cartwright, Junior, and then Clint Gutherson's at 10.
Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah. Wow, that is actually insane. With the Eels, yeah, as I said, really, really good win. Not really, really good win, sorry. Good that they got the win. I think that it is like beyond reasonable doubt desperate for an outside back. I read an article actually that said that Harley Smith-Shields, he was all but done to the Eels. And then at the 11th hour before the cutoff date of like August 1st or whatever it was, the committee at the Eels said, no, not doing it. And so if that's true, and again, it's all reportedly, so it might not be true, but geez, they could use a guy like Harley Smith-Shields.
Yep.
It'd be a great signing for him. So I'm
Sorry, why did they back down from that
So
decision?
so Brad Arthur wanted him.
Yep.
And apparently the Raiders are keen because Ethan Shields Strange or something. They want him down at the Raiders, and so they were going to get him early if they got Harley Smith. It was going to be a trade or something like that. So it was all done, everything agreed to. Brad Arthur keen as anything, but then the recruitment committee just said no. Not what we want to do.
Oh, sorry, they swapped the halfback, Ethan Saunders.
Yeah, I think so.
I know what you mean now. Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting.
And so, even though you have to give Eels massive credit, their recruitment committee, for where the Eels have gotten, you probably have to say in this last 12 to 16 months, they haven't really nailed the transition period of being a premiership threat and staying as a premiership threat.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, they're desperate for an outside back. Absolutely desperate.
Do I say his name again?
If you want.
I'd love to say his name again, but
Bring Opacek back. Sign the petition.
Yeah.
Bring him back.
Well, he's over in England, isn't he?
Living the dream, probably.
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But yeah, a win's a win. I thought Lussick was good for him at number 9. You know, he worked his ass off and he made that tackle on. I'm pretty sure he made that tackle on Ben Hunt that almost changed the game. And that was just all effort, which I think was great. Anyone else stand out for you boys?
Not overly.
Weird. We removed Greg, only got 8 minutes. That's strange.
Not really. I thought we'd all agreed to not talk about Parramatta's bench rotations anymore in minutes to forwards because it still cannot make sense of them. Look, it ended up being a tougher day out, but the 19-year-old debutant, Arthur Miller-Stephen, I think it is, he started like a house on fire. I think his first impact in the NRL, his first moment of involvement, he took Ravalawa out and rolled him over the sideline. Then he scored with maybe second touch in the NRL. He's like, how good is this? Ended up being toughed out because Ravalawa went on a tear. That whole edge did. Not all of it was his fault, but some promise about him for sure. So, yeah.
What about all of our pre-season chart about who would play hooker? Would he play 80 minutes, whatever? And here we are with Joey Lussick playing 80 minutes after all that. To think about in the pre-season, we didn't even know who Brendan Hands
Your boy
was.
Hansy.
I can't believe Hands has just been,
Bizarre.
put at 18th man. I don't understand that. I don't feel like he's been the issue at all.
And they
won 6 in a row with him at bloody 9.
And they're not carrying anyone that could have played 9 either. That's
very strange.
Yeah.
Imagine, if something happened to Lussick or he couldn't get through, they actually knew he could get through the minutes, but you'd nearly have to throw.
What would they have done?
Hopgood?
Probably Hopgood, yeah.
Geez, you got to be a bit miffed. Maybe Hands is injured, carrying an injury, and so they're like, we'll keep him just in case, play.
No.
But sure, I didn't feel he was playing poor enough to
Sure,
be.
if he was injured, you're not playing him 18th man, though.
Well, no, I mean, he's got a niggle, so it's like,
Right, okay.
you might be able to get 20 out of him or something if it's desperate kind of thing.
Yeah.
Hands played 6 in reserve grade this week.
Really?
What? Well, he had 6.
He's played a lot of 5'8".
He had number 9 on his back, and then when they changed the team list with an hour to go,
hell?
he played 6.
I think he's been good this year.
He has been.
That's bizarre. All right. So look, a win's a win. Hopefully they can get better next week. Hopefully they don't because they're playing the Broncos. Dragons, mate, I'm impressed with the Dragons last 2 weeks. I think they've worked their asses off. They've got every reason to throw in the towel. They haven't. Ravalawa, obviously outstanding. I thought their forwards really had Blake Laurie had a red hot crack. When does he not? But I just thought that he was super intense. I thought Jack Bird had a lot of punch. I thought he was really good. There were some of the fends that he does, pound for pound. Geez, he's strong. Geez, he is strong.
He missed one tackle for a try that he slipped off, which was pretty ordinary birdie, but the aggression he brought to the outside backs was really, especially in defence, getting up and in blokes' faces, whacking them. He looked good, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did.
Especially after, I think he's had 2 false starts, getting named and not playing. Or a few weeks ago he played about 20 minutes and he looked broken when he was on the field. So I would, probably not breaking news here, but I would assume that Jack Bird's playing through a couple of injuries at the moment. So.
Blake Laurie, 170 metres, the big fella, just absolutely ripping and a tearing. I really liked it. I really liked it from the Dragons, and they're showing ticker, which is what more can you ask from the Dragons at the moment? It's been a disaster year. Every right to just completely pack her in. No. Fighting every match. What do you think of the Dragons?
To come into this game without Jack DeBellin and then to lose Francis Molo in minute 1 makes life very, very difficult. They shouldn't have been in. For all that to happen and for Parramatta to come out the way they did, St George shouldn't have even been in this game. They did very well.
And unlucky to lose against Manly as well. I think they deserve a massive rap, the Dragons, to be honest.
So who I like, and I don't think he's ever going to be a world beater or anything, but the more I watch this Dan Russell.
Yeah, I do too.
He's got a bit of... Almost like when Capel first started to come in and sort of get his spot, he's sort of rangy enough to be able to play centre. He's got a bit of an awkward body shape. I really like the look of him. I think he's been a good find.
Mate, a try assist, but his defence, he made 48 tackles, only 1 miss on an edge. That's bloody... On an edge... That's pretty bloody good.
Where we got him on the could be anything scale, mate? 1 to 10. 10
I've only seen him in first grade, mate, so hard to comment on.
Right, no.
Okay.
They make me break my own rules, all right?
What do you think of the Dragons, Timmy?
Much like you boys already said, showed a bunch of ticker. They were right in this game, could easily have won it. And Guru, you mentioned Molo going off early. Thought they were fantastic. I'm seeing a lot of good signs from Tyrell Sloan. He had a nice early line break, set up a couple of tries.
Had a couple of line breaks, actually.
Yeah, a couple of line breaks, a couple of try assists with some really nice passing. So the important thing is with Tyrell Sloan is I think he's improving week on week on week. And we say that he needs to round his game and there's lots of things he needs to work on. There is, but he's heading in the right direction.
But those are the games I think you got to sit down with him and say, this is what we expect every week.
Every week.
Every week.
Yeah.
You might not have the same outcomes,
Yeah.
but the way you were running into the line is what we need every week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, everyone knows my feelings on Sloan. He's got so much potential. He just needs to round his game out.
Because it's funny, like I look at Sloan right now, and I think he is in the exact same spot Matt Duffy was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Huge potential, but you'd only see it here and there. And Sloan could be a 10-year fullback, or he could be in the Super League in a few years.
And if he ends up in the Super League,
He
he'll be
will
$1
absolutely
for Man of Steel.
Will absolutely kill it. But I look, just the way he moves. I tell you what, though, shows you how fast Dylan Brown is.
Yes.
Sloan got on the outside of his man, and Dylan Brown just hit the gas and caught him. And Dylan Brown is like, he'd be at least 5-6 kilos heavier.
Yeah. That's still Brown too, like
So
match
quick.
fitness from the last few
Oh,
weeks, and
mate.
just wild.
I think that we're not even getting close to his. I think he's actually got more gears in him.
He's
Dylan
got
Brown.
levels to him, yeah.
I think that if by the end of his career he isn't considered number 1 or 2 6 in the game, I would be shocked. As in, not ever. I'm talking about, like, for example, Cam Munster right now, out and out best 6 in the game. If we aren't saying that during Brown's peak years, out and out first or second, I would be shocked. I'd be shocked.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, Dragons, mate. I think their fans should be okay. They lost or whatever, but if I'm a Dragons fan and how bad the year's been, all the drama, I'd be happy with the way the boys are ripping and tearing. Now Raiders defeat the Tigers 22-18. I went for glory here. I picked the Tigers, big play. Fortunately, we were robbed. Yep. Tigers, mate. Me and the Tigers. No, Raiders defeat Tigers 22-18. Look, I thought the Tigers looked really good. The Raiders, good win at home, and it's almost clinched their season in the 8. But, geez, they're not even playing anywhere near where they should be playing, in my opinion. I don't even think they're close to it. Scrappy. And, yes, I get it. The Raiders have been scrappy all year, but we're getting into the business end of the season. At home, you should be putting the Tigers to the sword. So, win's a win. Cemented themselves in the 8, and me and Guru spoke probably a few rounds in, and I said that I don't think Raiders are a top 8 side. So by that measure, what more can you really ask for, really? Like, you really can't ask more much than what they're delivering.
What does Ricky Stewart say after this? It's the same as every other game they've played the entire year. And, I almost feel confident in saying they're not a top 8 team. They're 1 win off 4th.
Yeah.
They're on the same amount of points as 4th.
So what more can you ask for?
What's been your best game of footy, you reckon, this year?
Mate, without going through round for round, I don't think I've ever watched a Raiders game this season, I should say.
It's all clicked.
Been convincing on, that's it, we're on. Leave it with me. Wait, leave it with me.
I genuinely, I don't know how, I've got no idea which game you would point to.
Well, listen to our winning margins. So, 4, 10, 4, 2, 8, 4, 1, 6, 6, 4.
Jesus Christ. Have you beat any top tier sides?
Probably the Broncos win.
We beat
early
the
in year.
Broncos. Yeah. We beat the Broncos. Eels aren't in the top 8. No, we're winning the games we should be winning, and that's where we are.
Who have you lost
Bronco-
to? What's the top tier side you've lost to, and by how much?
So Penrith beat us 53-12. Had a good draw, put it that way. Warriors beat us 36-14, and then they beat us 21-20 when we didn't really deserve to be 21-20.
It's unlucky Penrith beat you 1-41.
Boys. So, I mean, going through that, we've had a pretty good draw. What are the current top 8 sides? So the Broncos, we only played once. The Melbourne Storm, we've got this weekend. So
Jeez,
I
isn't
think
that going to be a cracking
we'll only play
game?
them once.
That's going to be probably game of the round, let's say.
As I said, we're winning the games we need to win.
So, as I said, we could sit here and go, oh, well, maybe the draw's been a bit, favourable. But at the same time, we're not talking about a side with just superstars everywhere. They're doing they're the nearly top 4. What else can you ask, really?
Yeah.
I think you're getting a bit greedy if you're like, no, we should be, we should be in the top 4 and we should get a home final. And if anything less than that's a bit of a failure. I think that they've battled on and they weren't great against the Tigers, but they got the win. They got the win.
That's what the Raiders do.
What else can you ask for, really?
Yeah.
I'm sure there are a lot of teams outside the 8, right? For example, to think that the Raiders are equal 4 and the Cowboys aren't even in the 8, it's I'm sure the Cowboys would kill to...
It's so weird. It wasn't even like we strung early season wins together. We were 1 from 5.
Yeah. Mate. So it's very hard to be super critical of the Raiders because it's this is just kind of what they do. They cannot, for the life of them, just get a team, put them on the sword, and see you later. Now, when they get to finals footy, though, that's where I go, do they have the gear in them that's required? I don't know if they do. I don't know. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I don't know if they do.
I don't think they do, but if you are looking for an argument to the other side, is any team more prepared for finals footy?
In regards to the grittiness.
In regards to just the grittiness and just hanging in games and finding a way to hang in there. I think that if they come up against Penrith, Brisbane, and I would even say the Warriors, the Storm will be a good test this afternoon. I think they'll just put them to the sword.
So, yeah.
But as you said, we're not dissimilar at all to what we did last year. And we went in and we towed up Melbourne week 1 of finals down in Melbourne. And it said, it's hard to see us stringing wins together in finals because we do have to grit every single victory. We've said it before, but there's no easy wins for the Raiders. But they are that get in a dogfight, the arm wrestle finals football team that...
I think the thing that makes it amazing is, yes, last year you went and you beat Melbourne, but I thought Jack Whiten was playing 5 times better than what he is now. That's the amazing thing. Jack Whiten's not even playing well.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want to say it's Jack Whiten's worst football we've seen for a few years. Is that unfair?
No, not at all. He had an enormous mixed bag yesterday. There were some horrible moments,
the most mixed bag
but he
of all
had
time.
some incredible touches as well. The dummy half, line break from dummy half down the left wing from
That's
nowhere.
Crazy. Eyes up footy. Some positives. I thought Rapana was outstanding. Seb Chris, outstanding. And I thought Tarpanen was outstanding for you. Seb Chris, he's clearly a centre. I think it's pretty obvious he's a centre.
He's always been... I was super critical of him at the start of the year why he was playing fullback for us. And he's rounded his game as a fullback so well. Now, look, I absolutely don't want him as our fullback long-term going forward, but he's done so admirably for us this season.
Oh, absolutely.
At centre, though, and he'll learn so much just about positioning everything from the back there from his time at fullback. But at centre, he was brilliant for us. He's a big body. He's got speed. Yeah, I think... And I also like... I just think Geordie Rapana gives us that bit of X factor and the bit of uncertainty that we're lacking so much at the moment. And I speak week in, week out about just a bit of second phase play and having someone scooting around the ruck. Well, Geordie Rapana offers that, whereas Sebi Chris didn't as much. And Rapper yesterday as well, never been a noted passer of the ball, but threw some really nice passes out the back, a floated one for a try. So I don't mind it.
I think that try that Seb Chris scored yesterday, I reckon if Katoni, Manu, one of these guys scores that would have been all over social media.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
was an amazing try.
Absolutely.
He got it from his own half on the tram on the left side and scored over on the right side.
Yep. Absolutely. Oh, mate, he was outstanding. I've got to say, like, is Savage injured?
Yep.
Okay, he's injured.
Yeah, he's injured till about around 26 or 7.
Far out.
But to be fair, he also couldn't get a start when he wasn't injured.
Yeah, I don't think that would have changed.
So when did he get injured? Do you know?
I believe it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
He played round 19 reserve grade and hasn't played since.
So, yeah, not that long ago.
4 weeks.
Jeez, it's been surprising how, how much it's just...
I still don't think he would have... I think they would have moved Rapana back there before they brought him in.
Yeah.
Okay. Going to be interesting to see where...
Because he wasn't playing fullback in reserve grade anyway, was he? I think he was playing on the
He was playing a mix of both. Some games fullback, some games
It'll be
wing.
interesting to see which club he ends up at because it seems like the Raiders are like, no, we're not. Which is like, you were all in on him last year.
Yeah.
And now it's just like...
We dropped Chance because we were so all in on him.
Yeah. Like, and now Chance is in a top 4, maybe even top 2 side.
And that's the thing. Like it sort of looked like you kind of got through some of the teething problems last year with Xavier, and then just completely.
I'm just surprised because he has so much upside.
He scored that cracking try. Your last game of the year last year, the semi-final?
Parramatta.
Oh, it's a cracking individual.
Dummied and went through from nothing off a scrum, I think it might have been. It might not have been off a scrum.
I don't even think it was a scrum.
It was sensational.
It was nothing. Yeah, nothing doing.
Yeah, so, I mean, he'd be a great pickup for another team if Raiders, want to let him go or whatever. Because
As a winger? Or is it
I think he's a winger. I think he's a winger. He is so fast and he's pretty big. Like, he can develop into a great winger. Like, imagine him around the ruck every now and then, tied oppositions. So, yes, but anyway, to the positives, as I said, Chris, great. Rapana, outstanding. Tarpanier, he's almost just going a bit. He's almost a victim of his own consistency. He does it week in, week out. You go back and look at his stats, and you're just like, bloody hell! Like without Tarpanier, I don't know how you'd be. I don't think he'd be in the 8, honestly.
Yeah, third most post contact meters of the season.
Far out. And he also adds great footwork, a bit of ball playing. If he wants to get lateral, he can get lateral.
How frightening. I thought of it yesterday when he started scampering across field and doing that fending that he does. He's almost the one front row in the comp that you're like, mate, don't feel like you need to just go straight up the guts.
Absolutely.
When he scampers, he's so threatening.
Absolutely. And because when you see not even front rows, but other players scampering across and crabbing across, you're worried because you're like, oh, they're going to get dominated because they're going to get hit from the side. Whereas like Tarpanier's not getting dominated. Mate, he is so bloody good. He's definitely a unique front rower. I do believe he offers a very rounded, a lot of different things that I do think other front rowers don't really offer. Like, can Payne Haas crab across field with footwork like that? Like he can to a degree, but not the same way Tarpanier can with a good ball, like a pass and that.
I also think the Raiders, to their credit, they build their structure around that. Whereas, if the Broncos started doing it, I think if Payne Haas started doing it, I think it'd throw them out a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas the Raiders play around that, and as unorthodox as the Raiders are, to their credit, they lean into it.
Yeah,
Which
they really do.
Full credit to them.
Corey Horsburgh, and just absolutely worked his ass off for you guys.
He had 2 or 3 try savers that I don't think the commentators mentioned.
Bizarre.
He was the last
The Buller
man that
one.
came from nowhere. Yeah. They were incredible efforts for a front rower.
Like we've got outside backs that aren't there.
Yeah.
He's there. Like that sages the game.
Oh,
Isn't he a classic? You hear Billy Slater talk about Lindsay Collins, about his feet are always moving. Textbook.
great example.
He's developed into such a mature player too. He still has all the passion, but he doesn't do it in bad ways. He does it in real smart ways. I thought he was outstanding. I don't think you win the game without him on the field.
No.
I really
definitely
don't.
not. The other one, look, nothing out of the ordinary yesterday because there rarely is from him, but so we don't mention this bloke at all really on the podcast. I remember last time his name popped up, but when you mentioned before about the importance of an edge back rower who talks the 4-man, we talked about Wade Graham and the impact he has defensively on the edge. Elliot Whitehead, the first of these English signings, club captain, he hasn't played, talk about durability, he hasn't played under 20 games in a season since he came over. Pretty well played out the entire season. He's on 18 at the moment for this season. Plays 80 minutes every week. He's so consistent.
Yeah.
Nothing flashy about him, but it's a defensively and talking defence, and I've spoken to halves and that with the Raiders who've just said to have him inside you fills you with so much confidence because he's always going to be there.
Yeah, yeah. He's an absolute legend of a bloke too. Like such a good bloke. If you ever wanted to like what someone's personality like to what they play like, it's him. Like such an honest, good guy.
Pretty impressive. He came over when he was 25 years old. And early next season, he'll chalk up 200 games in the NRL.
yeah.
That's hectic.
Yeah.
And all these pommies who have come over and had so much success for the Raiders said he was the first of them, and you can guarantee that he had a big influence on several of the ones who did come over.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm pretty sure he got Bateman over.
He's at 184 first grade games.
Jeez.
What a knock. What a knock. Yeah.
He's an 80-minute back rower.
Yeah, wow. So, yeah, win's a win. This is what the Raiders do, and how can you be upset at a side that you might actually finish in the top four? Like, you can't. You cannot. You just can't. I don't care about, draws and all that carry on. The Raiders already battle as it is. They're in Canberra. It's very hard to recruit to Canberra, and that's just a fact. Like, people, want to... It's just a fact. It's hard to recruit. It is what it is. And so... Look, do I believe they have an extra gear in them? I personally, in my opinion, I don't think they do for this final series. But if they went and did it, I would go, oh, that's Ricky Stewart's team. Like, of course they're going to fucking prove everyone wrong, including myself. Yeah. So it is what it is. They put themselves in a position to go into finals footy. Fucking good on them. Bloody good on them. Now, Tigers, quickly. I thought the Tigers looked really good. I thought the Tigers, with a little bit more polish, actually would have been... I actually thought they put themselves in really good positions to score tries with a little bit of extra polish. Maybe with Brooksy and Laurie playing a few more weeks together, they could have got the job done. I thought Brooks was really good. I thought it's almost devastating that Brooks and Laurie aren't going to be there next year. Now, I know Tigers fans have put their hands on their head and go, Kempy, we've been dealing with Brooks for so long. But I start to wonder, like with Benji there, he's ever since, Benji's really taken a front foot in the coaching. Brooks has been great this year, outside of the first, 4 to 6 weeks. And I know Tigers fans are going to be like, are you fucking serious? I still think from Brooks's perspective, it's time to go because I think that, he needs a fresh start. But the fact that the Tigers have no replacement yet, that's where I go, right now, it's a bad decision to let him go because you don't have a replacement. Now, if the Tigers had already re-signed a 7 or someone that was going to take that mantle, I would say, you know what? Good parting, everything's fine. They've got a 7, Brooksy can go somewhere else. But like right now, I look at this side, heading into next year, there's reports that Sullivan has signed a deal with them. Is he a 6? Is he a 7? I'm not sure. But like I just don't know whether they've replaced Brooks. That's what I'm saying.
God, I hope they find someone to replace him because if the Tigers finally let go of Brooksy after 10 years, then it's a bad decision. I don't know how I'm going to sleep at night.
Imagine if him and DCE kill it.
I think they will. I'm pretty confident they will.
Yeah.
If they can get their forward pack right, Manly, I agree.
If they can just get their forward pack to just compete, that's all they need.
Yeah.
I think Brooks should do really well. He looked great yesterday.
He looked really, really good yesterday.
So as it stands right now, is it next year Wakeman, Dewey's out the first?
Sullivan next year, as it stands.
Is he confirmed?
It's basically confirmed.
Okay.
Reportedly 550K. He was photographed at the Tigers headquarters. Telegraph reported that it was done on, I think, Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday or Sunday.
Good signing. Interesting, as I said, as it stands going to round 1, what Wakeham and Sullivan
it might even be Sullivan and Fainu.
Yeah.
Sullivan and who?
Fainu?
I thought you said Bateman. Yeah, Fainu, potentially, yeah.
Is he 18, 19?
Yeah, 19, yeah.
But
Okay.
he's raw, but I mean...
He's obviously, the ability's obviously there.
So has Aiden Caesar re-signed somewhere or is he still being tossed up as a potential?
They desperately need an old head in that, Fainu has all the potential in the world, but it's so soon. But if you're the Tigers and you go, you know what, we're just going youth and we're going to build for the next 5 years, maybe you just cop it. I don't know.
Know any halfbacks keen to come out of retirement?
Queen Roosters doing all right this year. Undefeated till the weekend. They could do worse if you need
to lose on the weekend, did they?
They got done, yeah. They were 12 on the trot. And
you cursed them because you were playing AFL.
Got done late in the game, so streak's over, but sitting all right. So if the Tigers want to make the call...
in regards, the Tigers, I thought Clemmer was outstanding. He just did not stop. In 58 minutes, 18 runs, 193 metres, 23 tackles, no miss. 22 tackles, 0 misses.
77 post contact too.
He was outstanding. Like without Stefano there, I thought he was outstanding. I thought Twal was really good too. Like I thought the Tigers forward pack was really, really good. I thought they got let down a little bit by, Nofaluma probably could have caught that ball at the end there, or at least tried to catch it on the full. Then they had Savatoa challenging when he clearly had hit the ball, so that cost him a challenge. I thought their outside backs probably didn't help them the way you would hope, because you look at the outside backs, so 2 errors fullback, an error wing, 2 errors Toa, an error for Staines. So you're looking at what? That's 3, 5, 6 errors in the back, and then backs, and then in the forwards, for the starting forwards, only 1 error by Bateman. And so as I always go through it, but as backs, that's the one thing that you've got to try to do for your forwards is like keep the errors to an absolute minimum.
And it feels like, I don't have any numbers to back this up, but it feels like that's becoming a common thing for the Tigers, unfortunately.
Yep. Bateman, I thought he had a red hot crack. I thought it was funny, the crowd booing. Geez, how they turn on you, hey, the Raiders fans?
He turned on us.
Oh, yeah.
What about when he knocked the ball out of Wolford's hands and you could see Wolford was turning around to his teammates to appeal them to challenge it? Bateman was just in his ear, like, screaming. It was unreal. You see Wolford was just like, fuck, don't make eye contact with it like it was a shark.
Yeah.
So, Tigers, they fought hard. We've got to remember, Raiders are currently equal 4th on points. Tigers are at the bottom of the table. Decent. Like
You just want to see them land a W.
I know, absolutely, for sure. But 22-18,
Yeah.
I'll
Who
take
play
that
this
as
week, Tigers.
Bunnies. No.
No.
Why?
Bunnies got Dragons.
Warriors? Yeah, oh God, they've taken their home game to New Zealand.
Oh, and their home games in New Zealand.
No.
Jeez, that could be tough. Look, I think it was a good performance by the Tigers. Alrighty, time for tips for this week. Jeez, there's some big games this weekend in regards to some massive odds and some really interesting lines there, Hammy.
Yeah, there is. I think 7 of the 8 games this week we've got double-figure lines. So we thought we'd give you guys the option to pick the line this week as well in a couple of these because according to the market, there could be some one-sided results. So first game, we've got Manly $7 against Penrith $1.10. The line is 18.5 points.
Ooh. All right. Obviously, my tip is Manly. My tip is Penrith. My tip is Penrith.
That's going to come back.
No. Clearly, Penrith is my tip, and I'm strong about it. In regards to the line.
Any other big calls, mate?
Ooh. 18.5. I'm going to take it. I'm going to take the line.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to take the line.
Yeah, I'll take Penrith to cover the line there.
I'll take the line too.
Beautiful. Next game, Sharkies, $1.46, Titans, $2.70 for the line, 6.5. This is our smallest line of the week.
I'm going Sharkies, no line. Sharkies, if they win, they're going to win by a bit more than a try, in my opinion.
I'm going to take the Sharkies, but I'll take the Titans with the line. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to tip the Sharkies. When I originally saw it, it was 8.5, and I was going to go Titans, but down to 6.5, I'm going to go the Sharks.
Yep. No worries. Broncos, Eels is the next game. Broncos, $1.32. Eels, $3.42. The line here, 10.5 points.
Obviously going Broncos. No, I think they win by more than 10.5.
Yep. Broncos covered that line for me.
Broncos to cover it.
Beautiful. Next game is the Rabbitohs against the Dragons. Rabbitohs, $1.10. Dragons, $7, 20.5.
I'm taking that shit.
Yep.
Dragons, 100% in regards to the line to cover it. And Rabbitohs obviously win the game.
Yep.
I'm going to take Dragons on both fronts. I'm going
Holy
Yeah.
shit!
I like this, Guru. I think they're a sniff.
Yeah, I'm with the Roo. I reckon the Dragons with the, what was the start?
20.5.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, you got no mind.
May's got to push in later.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
He's going to have a think about that one there, the Rabbitohs against the Dragons. All right, Tigers, $5.75 against the Warriors, $1.14. Tigers home game, taking it over to New Zealand. That'll go well for us. 16.5 points.
Oh, West Tigers to cover the line, but I'm picking Warriors.
Yep.
Yeah, Warriors all round for me.
Yeah, I'll take the Warriors to cover the line.
Beautiful. Roosters, $1.32. Dolphins, $3.40. 10.5 points.
I'm going Dolphins.
Head to
Going
head.
Dolphins. Yep. Taking Dolphins head to head.
Like it.
I think the Chooks are going to finish fast this year, so I'm going to take the Roosters.
What are you doing with the line, mate?
Roosters.
I'll go. Where's that? Sydney, isn't it?
Yep.
Right. I'm going to go Roosters and Roosters to cover it.
Beautiful. Storm, $1.29 against the Raiders, $3.63, 10.5 points.
The Storm has just been so up and down.
This game's hard without the line.
I'll go Storm to cover as well.
Yep.
I'm going to take the Raiders with the line. Win ugly.
I'm tipping the Storm to win, but I'm going to tip the Raiders with the line.
Oh, he's getting serious about his tipping. He's the heart. The head's outweighing the heart now with the accountability
Here
here.
it is.
How?
Amazing what accountability can bring
Yeah,
out of people
absolutely.
sometimes, isn't
Mate,
it?
I've got an 8-point gap to second to maintain, so you've got to get serious.
He's on the AFL markets.
That's 10 in the bin. Get off. All right, Knights, $1.23, Dogs, $4.20, 12.5 points.
Yeah, Knights to cover and Knights to win.
Yep, Knights cover.
Knights cover it for sure.
That's it.
That's it.
Matty's going to throw his in there later. Stay accountable, boys. Well done this week. And just be careful, Timmy. Seriously, have a good hard look at yourself after this week, mate. I know you got to win. Raiders won. You won the tipping, but this AFL stuff, bit of a concern.
You know what, Hammy? I'm not proud of myself.
Oh, thanks so much, brother. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you next week.
Sounds good, boys.
Boom. Anyway, that's us done and doosted. Beers and break even 3 p.m. Wednesday.
Yeah, and shout out to Bitch Marnette. That was probably my moment of the year. I thoroughly
Bitch
enjoyed
Marnette.
that.
Don't fucking fight me, Mitch. It was an accident, mate.
Can be 2 weeks on the trot. Your Supercoach call out. You went for this real rare pick, and you went for Nathan Cleary to go big on the weekend. He did. That's 2 on the trot. What do you got for us this week?
Mate, look, this week I'm going to go Payne Haas for a big one.
Jeez, I hope you put the
Yeah, we
curse.
don't have that. I don't love that.
Yeah, we don't own Payne Haas. So.
Good.
Well, you could learn a thing or two, you boys. I'll be here next week. As usual, I'll go and fuck myself. Thank you.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.